It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
the Mixed Martial Arts Hour back in your life on this Monday, August 8th, 2016. There I am. Hello again, everyone. I'm Mario Helwani back inside our New York City studio. Great to have you with us. Hope you had a nice weekend. I did. Thank you very much for asking. A relatively quiet weekend in the world of MMA in terms of news. Of course, there was an event in Salt Lake City, which featured a pretty solid main event between Yair Rodriguez and Alex Caceres. Rodriguez improving to 5-0 inside the octagon. And if you ask me, they need to keep giving him sort of mid-tier fights, showcase him, but continue to build him up. Let him go 12-0. That should be the thing with this guy. He's a big draw. He has a great future, a ton of potential. Maybe not quite there as far as the contenders are concerned. I know he has a pretty impressive winning streak, but I would build him up rather slowly and keep giving him these kinds of fights. So that happened this weekend in wonderful Salt Lake City. And of note, this coming week, this is a rare UFC bye week. This weekend marks the only weekend in the next 2 months where there will not be any UFC events. Think about that. August 13th is UFC action free. August 20th, it's UFC 202. 27th, it's the Fox show in Vancouver. The 3rd, it's Hamburg. The 10th of September, it's Cleveland. 17th is Hidalgo. 24th is Brasilia. October 1st is Portland. October 8th is Manchester. I'm not even reading this. I did that off the top of my head. Can you believe that? That impressed me. I didn't even plan that. I didn't write that down. There's nothing on my screen right now. Believe me. So it's a rare off week, and I think it's good for the UFC that they did this. I don't know if it was done on purpose, but it gives them now 2 weeks to build up UFC 202. Of course, that is headlined by Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. They did a conference call on Friday. We will talk about that later on in the show, but it's a good time to really ramp up and focus all of their energy on what is shaping up to be obviously the biggest show of the summer for them, and that is noteworthy and important to bring up because this summer also featured UFC 200. Okay, I love this lineup. I'm so excited for today's show. I can't wait to get into it. Let's run down the lineup and get to our first guest. 4:05, we're going to be joined by Bubba Jenkins of Bellator fame. He returns to action August 26th, Bellator 160. He will be fighting Georgi Karakhanyan once again, looking to avenge that loss. Bubba's got a lot on his chest, has been wanting to come on this show. I'm looking forward to talking to him. 3:05, we will talk to you. Answer your questions. Hit us up, as always, the MMA Hour on Twitter. Leave a question or comment in the comment section below. 2:45, we will talk to Mirko Cro Cop. Mirko Cro Cop, I've been wanting to have him back on the show for quite some time. He will join us at 2:45 to talk about coming out of retirement, fighting for Ryzen in their upcoming open weight Grand Prix, all that stuff and more. 2:25, we'll talk to Benson Henderson. He'll be headlining that show on August 26th at the Pond in Anaheim against Patricio Pitbull. Pitbull moving up to 155. That card, of course, is Bellator 160 as well. Emil Meek of Norway fame will stop by at 2:05 to talk about why his UFC debut on September 3rd has been delayed. 1:45, we're going to talk to Chris Weidman. He's got a lot of interesting things and exciting things going on, and also get an update on his neck. And at 1:25, we'll talk to our good pal Alistar Overeem, who is a little less than a month away from his big UFC heavyweight title fight against Stipe Miocic. But first, let us go to the phone lines and talk to a man that I've been dying to speak to for the last few weeks. The legendary Dan Henderson is on line one. Dan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Ariel?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for the time today. Wow, so much to talk to you about. And I kind of want to start in chronological order, if I can. You fight at 199 in June. What an amazing win. What an amazing moment it was when you defeated and knocked out Hector Lombard. And this is my question right off the bat. In the cage, surrounded by your family, on the mic, a little bit emotional, how much did you believe that was your final fight in the UFC? Was there a great chance in your mind in that moment that could have been your final fight inside the octagon?
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. I was. It all depended on what my options were afterwards, as far as employment goes. I was ready to kind of have that one be my last fight, depending on like I said, what options I'd have, and for whatever reason, the stars aligned, and the fans asked for one more fight, I guess.
And that's a beautiful way of putting it. The stars aligned. Would you have been content going out like that? Would that have been good enough for you?
Yeah, absolutely, especially being able to go out with a win, not necessarily on top, but with a win is always nice. But, to have an opportunity to actually go out on top would be much more desirable, I guess.
And when you say on top, you mean as champion, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In that moment, right after that fight, as you're talking to the public and everyone's chanting your name, what a beautiful scene it was in Inglewood, did you have a new contract offer on the table from the UFC?
No, not at all. I hadn't even spoken to him about anything yet. I just kind of wanted to finish my contract up and then, have a talk with Dana about, either representing them in some capacity outside of the cage, and working for the UFC. That was what I was going to kind of speak with them about, not necessarily about fighting again.
Okay, so how long after that win in early June at 199 do you sit down and talk to Dana about your future?
I think it was a couple weeks later. They called me and wanted me to fight Bisping.
So do you not even talk about the role? They call you and say, "Do you want to fight for the belt?"
Yeah, why wouldn't I do that instead?
Of course.
My body's feeling good, but yeah, I'm ready to be done training and everything else, and focus on family and other things a little bit more.
So were you surprised that they came back with this offer?
I don't know if I was surprised, just because I saw, on my social media and all over the place that how many fans wanted that fight. And, the UFC does listen to the fans sometimes. And it didn't hurt, like I said, that Michael Bisping wanted the fight also.
I guess the amazing thing is, you've been so honest about this process, even dating back to Tampa Bay when the Machida fight fell out, and said you were kind of getting ready to move on and you were looking for an offer in terms of being some sort of ambassador, etc. And then instead of being offered that, you're offered the ultimate. You're offered a shot to win the UFC belt. That's been the one accomplishment that has eluded your career. So that didn't take you by surprise at all, that you're going into this conversation thinking, okay, what are they going to offer me in terms of a job for the future or whatever? And then they come to you with this great, amazing deal that sort of came out of nowhere. That didn't surprise you?
Not a whole lot, just because I've been watching on my social media and Bisping's asking for that fight. And I guess the first time they said, well, we're considering it, then I was pleasantly surprised. And then the offer came, and I was more than happy to take them up on their offer.
When Bisping won the belt that same night, did you start thinking that as well, even before the public? There's a photo of you at the press conference sort of looking at him from afar as he's getting up. Are you starting to think, wow, this could be my shot at the belt? This could be it. He won. We have this rivalry. We have this history. I knocked him out. Did that come across your mind as well?
No, not at all. I actually found it amusing because right away all my friends were texting me as soon as Bisping won that I should fight him again. I was like, no, that wouldn't happen. I didn't think that was a possibility, and it really didn't enter my mind that I'd have that opportunity. So, and at the press conference, I was just amused at him and Luke going back and forth with each other. So was entertaining.
So when you hear your fellow fighters, fellow middleweights say, how is the 13th ranked guy fighting for the belt, there's a part of you that kind of understands where they're coming from, right?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure, and that's why I kind of made it clear. I never even asked for this fight; it was offered, and of course I'm gonna take it. And it was more about what the fans were asking for. So it's like I said, it's something I didn't think was going to happen, and now it's happening, and I'm going to make sure I make the most of it.
So did you sign just a one-fight deal now with UFC? Like, have you signed that new contract?
No, it's there's more than one fight on there, but I'm only planning on fighting the one time.
If you go in there in October, knock them out like you did the first time, you really are going to walk away? You're not going to want to stick around and do a few more as champion?
No, it's, why? It's pretty much the last goal that I had set for myself. And a couple of years ago, as I lost a couple times here and there and wasn't having the best of luck, I kind of figured that I wouldn't have that opportunity again, but I was still satisfied with what I've done with my career and satisfied, with myself with not having that UFC belt, but it is the last one that I don't have.
Have you told the UFC that you will retire if you win the belt on October 8th? Are they aware of that?
Yeah, I've told them, and I don't think Dana quite believes me, but I have no desire to fight again after this one.
Wow, that is amazing. Because like just being around the fight game, it's very rare to see someone go out on top like that. If they win the big one, they're gonna try to squeeze in a few more, make some more money, be the man. It's almost, it's almost. It's the rarest. It's like the unicorn of combat sports to see someone do that. You are the unicorn of combat sports if you pull this off. You don't think that there's going to be something in your body that says, wow, I just did this to the champ. How about I squeeze in a couple more?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I'm sure that I'm definitely going to miss the competition, but you have to understand, I've been competing my whole life, and I've been on top, more than once, and kept fighting. So, like I said, it'll be nice to have this opportunity to finish in that way.
And you mentioned that your body's, obviously a little beat up. You've been doing this for a very long time. Do you feel like you have one more training camp in you? Because as you know, when guys start talking about retirement, they have a foot out the door. Sometimes the motivation isn't there. And I know you don't need motivation to punch Bisping in the face or try to win the belt. But do you think that this is going to be the next 2 months? Is it going to be a bit of a chore? Is it going to be tough for you and just getting your body going?
Well, it's always tough, and I don't know how many years it's gotten tougher, and but it is what it is. I just keep on going, and I'm pretty disciplined when it comes to a lot of things with training, and where I'm lacking, I have somebody to yell at me and get me going. So, I've made sure that I've focused on certain things, but no, this isn't going to be any different than the last training camp. It might be even easier knowing that there's a belt there, and
sure.
and I get to attempt to shut Bisping's mouth up again.
And did you even look around or have a cup of coffee with any other promotions out there, test the waters, so to speak, once you finish that last fight in June?
No, but they pretty much have all made it clear that they want to have that conversation with me. But, it was, those conversations never happened. So I wasn't overly concerned about it.
Right.
Like I said, I was more concerned about, trying to represent the UFC outside of the octagon.
If you win the belt on October 8th and walk away, do you think that job, that particular role will be waiting for you? Do you think that ups your chances of getting it? Have you even discussed that with them while, discussing this new fight?
No, I didn't get any type of commitment out of them for that, but it's been discussed. So we'll see what happens. I don't think I'm concerned about it, but I would think that they would like to keep me around.
Yeah, I would think, especially if you're the champion and go out on top. And just to be clear, if you weren't offered the Bisping fight, if you were offered like a Weidman or a Romero, a Rockhold, I know you're friends, that probably doesn't happen, but is the Bisping fight the only fight that made you want to come back? Any other fight, non-title fight, you're probably not fighting anymore?
Well, with the exception of, if I didn't get offered a job to not fight, then I probably would have, entertained the idea of fighting a couple more times. But, I'm pretty much, like I said, done and ready to be done mentally.
Uh-huh.
And physically, like I said, I think my body could handle another few years, but I'm ready to kind of move on. But don't get me wrong, that I'm going to be extremely motivated to make sure that I do well in this fight.
Do you have any idea why they have yet to officially announce the fight or the card, the UFC that is?
No, I have no idea. They haven't even given me an exact date or place. I'm guessing it's just them trying to figure out the logistics of the arena or wherever they're going to have the fight. I think that must be the holdup. Because usually if they know that they have an arena or something locked down and a date, they'll announce things right away. And especially as much as this has been talked about, and then Bisping kind of announced it on his own, but I still haven't been told that it's confirmed for Manchester. So
have you signed a contract for it?
Yes, there's been a bout agreement that I signed.
So as you mentioned, Michael Bisping hosts a radio show on SiriusXM. It's called The Countdown. And on Thursday, he announced the fight himself. He said that it is happening in Manchester, October 8th. Other outlets, including this one, reported that the main event will happen at around like 4 or 5 a.m. to accommodate the North American pay-per-view times. How do you feel about that, fighting locally at around 4 or 5 a.m.?
Yeah, it's not the best scenario, but I've done it before a couple times. I'm not sure about quite at 4 a.m., but pretty early in the morning, 2 and 3 in the morning. But when I get somewhere like that, I just pretty much try and stay on my same time zone, California time that I came from, and the fights are always aired at the same time here, so I might as well just try and stay on that time zone for at least the time that I'm there before the fight.
Right. I wonder if the media obligations will mess that up, but that certainly seems like right.
Usually that's the only tough part is having media obligations earlier in the morning where I'm not, where I'm trying to sleep.
So Bisping said this about you, and I just want to get your reaction. This is a quick clip from that announcement of his on his own radio show on Thursday. If you don't mind, I'll play you the 20-second clip, and then just want to get your response, okay?
Lightning does not strike twice, okay? It struck once in the first time. It will not strike twice. There will be no TRT, no drugs, no steroids, no performance-enhancing drugs. Dan Henderson, I challenge you to announce to me at the press conference that you will not take any performance-enhancing drugs, that if you saw to show up on any day, any time, they can test you, because I think he's going to cheat. I think he's going to go out there and have some sneaky PEDs, because he's going to think, well, screw it. If I get suspended, so what? I'm retiring anyway.
So that was courtesy of The Countdown on SiriusXM. Michael Bisping talking about you, Dan Henderson. What's your response to those comments?
It just makes me chuckle.
Was that you laughing or laughing or the host? I couldn't tell.
That was me.
Okay.
It's something, and that I've been asking for this type of testing for I don't know how many years now, and they finally did it, and yeah, I've never tested positive for anything. And you know, yes, I was taking TRT for a while, but before I even did that, I made sure the athletic commission approved it. And even then, it was a tough consideration for me, and I just took the advice of my doctor saying, you know, it would be good for me to get on it. And listen, I didn't have a problem getting off of it and moved on just the same, because I was barely taking any. I wasn't abusing anything like some of these other guys that, you know, have noticeable differences in their body. Mm-hmm. You know, I look the same now as when I did when I was on it. You know, I wasn't taking very much, and it was just enough to stay within normal limits. So, you know, and I have no problem doing any type of drug testing. Never have, and I'm the only one that's been asking for that kind of testing. You know, I didn't see him asking for that.
Does it piss you off at all when he says these things? Like you're trying to avoid it?
No, it amuses me, and it makes him look ignorant.
What do you think the reception will be like over there in Manchester, if it is in Manchester?
You know, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I have a few fans from the UK that'll be there. Yeah, I don't know how many times I've heard from people that say, you know, I'm from England, and I'm so glad you knocked him out. I don't like him. He's arrogant. He's this, he's that. And so I'm thinking I might have a few fans over there. I'm sure he will have the majority of them, but yeah, I'm not real worried about it. Yeah, I just need to make sure I get the job done inside the cage and not worry about what's going on outside.
I know you're looking forward to the fight, but are you a little bit dreading the 2-month process of having to go back and forth with him, doing the press conference, all that stuff? You went through this on The Ultimate Fighter, UFC 100, 7 years ago now. Like, is that the worst part of this scenario for you?
No, it is what it is. It doesn't bother me at all. It's, you know, like I said, it'll make me chuckle a few extra times, and that's about it. You know,
yeah.
I don't feed into that very much, and it doesn't irritate me or piss me off at all. I just kind of get amused. I know what the truth is, in myself, and you know, and that's pretty much all that matters. I don't really care what Michael thinks.
Are you shocked? Honestly, is it like a little bit surreal that Michael Bisping is the UFC champion in 2016? Does this not compute for you?
Yeah, I definitely was shocked that he won the belt and knocked out, you know, Luke Rockhold. It was, I think the whole world was kind of shocked. You know, I was surprised that because Michael Bisping is not known for knocking people out. He's known for, you know, a lot of TKOs, just wearing people out and picking them apart. And, you know, so I was surprised that he won in the way that he did.
Yeah. He seems to take exception with the logo, your logo of the flying, you know, the flying punch when he was out, which was taken from that famous scene. What is your response to that?
I don't know if he's more offended that he's not in the logo or what. I don't know. You know, like I said, he's not even in there, so why would he get offended?
Okay. I think he seems to be upset that you're...
I can add him back in there.
Was he ever in there? In the early version?
No, not at all. I mean, I can add a little chalk line version of him.
Okay. 2 last quick things. What is your message to the other middleweights in, you know, your division, the contenders, who have been complaining about you getting this title shot? Is there anything that you would say to them?
I don't know. I mean, it's really nothing I can say. It is what it is, and you know, they can complain to the fans. I didn't ask for this fight. Obviously, when offered, I will absolutely take it.
Sure. Especially
knowing it's my last fight, and you know, and being that it's my last fight, really it doesn't disrupt anything in the whole scheme of things. With, you know, win or lose, they can still have Bisping back when I'm done with them.
And finally, since that was such a it was such a memorable finish on such a big stage. Is there any pressure to top that, to replicate it, to do something even more spectacular than, the first time that you guys met 7 years ago?
No, I mean, there's absolutely nothing I can do to make that a better finish than it was the first time. Yeah, I've known that for years. I mean, there's no way I can do it better than I did the first time. At this point, I'd be happy with any type of win. Not saying I'm not going to be trying to do it again, but that was hard to beat, and that's going to be there forever. I mean, there's nothing that, win or lose, that Michael can do to change the fact that that'll be one of the best knockouts ever.
Sorry, one last quick one. Do you think he is better from the time you guys fought 7 years ago? Would you say he has improved a lot since then as a fighter?
Yeah, I think we all have, the guys that are serious about it, and Michael definitely puts in the time in the gym, and you can tell that by his improvements and his conditioning. He's always in shape and ready to go, and he goes out there and fights, and he does a good job doing it, and he's definitely improved.
Okay, fair enough. Appreciate the time, Dan. Thank you so much. Congrats on getting the fight and sticking around for one more, and good luck leading up to it in training camp, and of course on October 8th. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, Ariel.
All right, there he is, Dan Henderson. What a story this is. I mean, how unique is this story? He is open. That's one thing I've always loved about Dan. As honest as they come when it comes to the state of his career. He was honest when talking about, the contract negotiations. He was honest when talking about Lyoto Machida back in April. And honest now, saying, if I win on October 8th, and yes, they have yet to officially announce it, but if I win, I'm going to walk away. What a unique scenario. And it tells you, and by the way, just to dispel one story out there, I mean, he said it himself, he did not ask for it, and I believe that. From all the conversations that I've had, Bisping never asked for it as well. It's really a UFC idea, and you can understand why it's a money-making idea, and we've talked ad nauseum about what it means for the belt and what it means for the other contenders. But this was really an idea that the UFC came up with and said, okay, let's capitalize on this. Let's capitalize on Michael Bisping, UFC champion. So this idea, and I've asked him it point blank, like, why are you picking a fight as champion with the 13th ranked guy? I know you have that history. I know you have that beef. I know it's very real. I know you've wanted the fight, but is this the right time? And I've been told from Bisping and his people that, look, this isn't something that we campaigned for, asked for. Of course, they're not going to turn it down. This is what they want. They're going to take it. But this really was presented to them. This was brought to their attention. And I think that's very important to note. So hopefully that gets officially announced sooner rather than later. October 8th. Manchester. The interesting thing is, what kind of a turnout will they have? Because they are going to sell a lot of tickets in that arena. Important to note that Michael Bisping is from Manchester, so you know that he is going to sell a lot of tickets. You know that he is going to be a draw. You know a lot of people are going to be interested in seeing him defend the title for the very first time. But are they going to want to stay up till 4 or 5 a.m. to watch the fight live? Forget about on television. I'm talking about in person. Because if the main event is supposed to go down at around 4 or 5 a.m., that means that the main the actual card itself is going to start at around like 11, something like that, if my math is correct. I mean, forget about the little kids. How are the grown men going to stay up? I suspect that they'll figure out a way. I was in Sweden, in Stockholm, for that UFC on Fox event headlined by Alexander Gustafsson versus Anthony Johnson, and it wasn't quite 4 a.m. It was around 2 or 3. if memory serves me correct, that the fight actually happened. And it was pretty packed. It wasn't quite a sellout, but there was around 30,000 people there. And the worst part about that one was it ended on such a sour note with Gustafsson getting knocked out brutally by Anthony Johnson. Everyone left in a very depressed state. It was kind of weird. It would have been better had he won 4 a.m. Everyone goes home happy. Now they feel like crap that they stayed up so late and they just saw their hero get KO'd. That card is shaping up to be a pretty good one. We reported last week, 2 weeks ago, we reported Gegard Mousasi versus Vitor Belfort. Last week, we reported Jimmy Manuwa versus Ovin St. Preux. Ruslan, Magomedov versus Stefan Struve. I think that there are some others as well. But what an interesting scenario. If Henderson retires after winning the belt, now we have a situation where the belt is vacated. And, maybe that impacts the MSG show. If you've got Chris Weidman fighting on that show, potentially against a Luke Rockhold, if you've got Yoel Romero fighting on that show, and they do some sort of tournament to crown a new champion or a number one contender. Imagine if Dan Henderson wins the belt. Imagine if Dan Henderson wins the belt, vacates the title, and then they make, I don't know, Rockhold versus Weidman at MSG for the new championship. The new champion. That now becomes for the belt. Could you imagine something that would be kind of, I guess that would add to the allure of that card, but a very unique situation because most guys aren't that honest about the state of their career and saying that, hey, I'm going to walk away upon winning the belt, thus vacating the title and leaving this mess of a situation. It's not the worst, but certainly very unique. Makes for a great story. Definitely makes for a great story saying, hey, I'm going to walk away. Win or lose. That is going to be a big part of this promotion. That's going to be a big part of, the countdown show, everything. All the interviews are going to be talking about this. I can't even recall someone fighting for the belt in MMA, in the UFC, to be exact, and saying, win or lose, I'm walking away. How freaking unique is that? Different. Okay, so in a couple of minutes, I think we're going to be joined by Chris Weidman. Alistar Overeem, I guess, is playing a little bit hard to get. He's playing hard to get. And then everything will go back to normal. So we'll get an update from Chris Weidman on his next situation. Overeem, of course, headlining UFC 203 September 10th in Cleveland, Ohio. Wanted to talk to Dan about the Olympics, which kicked off, I guess, in full Saturday, opening ceremonies on Friday, but we ran out of time there. Had I known Overeem was going to go MIA on us, I probably would have stretched it a little bit. But they have been enjoyable. Our own Guilherme Cruz reporting the heck out of them, doing a great job, right? Covering the combat sports and all that. I love the Olympics. I am a sucker for the Olympics. I know that they are very controversial. I know that they are very polarizing. I know a lot of people get all worked up about them, and rightfully so. And I do think that over time, they need to adjust where they put the Olympics, how they construct the Olympics, how they decide where it's going to be held, trying to put, a fresh coat of paint on some cities that, just aren't equipped to host such. I come from a city, Montreal, which needed I think it was 30 to 35 years to pay off the stadium that they built for the 1976 Olympics, which became somewhat of an albatross. But the citizens of Montreal had to pay in taxes for that stadium well after the Olympics came to town. And so this is something that we've seen in many other cities. Stadiums are being built never used again. We see this with the World Cup. Interesting that they go back to Rio after the World Cup was just there as well. But if you put all that aside and you just actually watch the games and take them for what they are, these athletes who do not get paid a lot, training, working, dedicating their lives for 4 years for sometimes seconds of glory, walking away with a medal. I always think about what Ronda Rousey had to say about her Olympic experience and what she was left with afterwards. Of course, she was left with a bronze medal, but not much else. So those thoughts are always in my mind when thinking about the Olympics. But when you're actually sitting down and just watching them, it is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, especially when you're someone who happens to work from home as well, because you can have it on in the background and all of a sudden get into, China versus Croatia ping pong. That stuff's amazing. When would I ever watch that? But for some reason, I get into it. I can't get enough. My only complaint about it is I always find it hard to really know what is going on, what is live, what happened. I mean, I know there's a little bug up there that says that it's live and if it's not there, I assume that it is taped. But I never know what's coming up, who's racing, who's competing. It's all very confusing. I have DirecTV, and they have a great channel that shows you all the channels, all the Olympic channels, Bravo, USA, NBCSN, NBC. There's a soccer channel. There's a basketball channel. I have all of those things, but I don't really know what, it's just all very overwhelming. But when I'm actually watching it, and I love the basketball, but I try not to watch the basketball too much because I can see Kevin Durant and Carmelo, Klay Thompson, Boogie Cousins. I could see these people throughout the year. I actually kind of prefer watching the unknown people, the unheralded stars, compete and do their thing and learn more about them. I don't know. I really enjoy that. So I look forward to it for the next 2 weeks. I say this, of course, because Dan Henderson competed in the Olympic Games. Daniel Cormier as well. Many others. Okay. Let's move along. Since we're talking about the middleweight division, I think it is apropos that we bring in our next guest, get his thoughts on the situation, get an update on him. He is the former UFC middleweight champion, recently underwent neck surgery, shooting for a return at the Mecca, Madison Square Garden, November 12th, the UFC's first show. He's done a lot of campaigning, a lot of work to get New York to legalize, and it is almost here. I believe we have Chris Weidman on line one. Chris, are you there?
I'm good, man. How are you? I'm here.
I never actually asked you if you were good or not. I just said, are you there? But I'm happy to hear that you're good.
Well, I couldn't stop thinking about you use the word apropos. I was trying to figure that one out, so that's why.
It's a big one.
You threw me off. That's a good one, man. You definitely just checked that out in the dictionary recently, huh?
Yeah. So are you at a farm right now?
I am at a farm.
What kind of farm?
Oh, White Post Farms. Basically, it's got like a petting zoo. It's got some water slide park stuff, and a bunch of cows and deer and stuff for the kids to look at. It's a kid.
Wow.
Type of environment. It's got some fresh food. Good.
So I appreciate you squeezing us in while you're doing this on a Monday. What a life that is to just go out to the farm on a Monday afternoon. By the way, do you echo my sentiments on the Olympics? I don't know how much you heard of them, but do you enjoy them as well as a wrestler and an athlete your entire life? Do you enjoy watching the Olympics?
Yeah, definitely. Has wrestling started yet?
No, it hasn't. But just appreciating what.
Oh man, yeah. I think wrestling is one of the best sports in the world, and I was just in a grocery store. I put a post up, and I was taking all the food out of the basket, putting it in the car, and next thing you know, I'm looking at Jordan Burroughs in the face. He did I guess he's sponsored by Chobani, the yogurt company.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just awesome to see that they're getting some love now, and because they deserve it. Those guys are so tough and work so hard. So absolutely, I'll be watching them and supporting them.
Okay, so let me ask you about your health situation first. You recently underwent neck surgery. You spoke to us right before the neck surgery. Can you tell us which one you opted for? Because at the time, you were sort of weighing several options.
Yeah, so I went for the most non-invasive one. It was laminectomy. I haven't said that word in a while, so I could be wrong on that. But basically, it's real non-invasive. They just go through the front of my neck, and they scoop out the herniation with like this special tool, and then they stitch me back up, and they're out of there. It's almost like going into doing a knee scope. And I woke up feeling so much better. My strength was back. I was down to like doing a push-up towards the end. I could get one push-up, and it was a struggle. So right out of surgery, I felt so much better. And then the pain was finally gone. There was so much pain I was going through for a while there. So I just feel rejuvenated and excited about training again.
And as far as limitations now with the neck, with your body, what are you feeling? Like, what can't you do?
I could do anything.
Wow.
So 6 weeks out, I went back to the doctor, and he completely cleared me for everything. So that was about, I guess, 3-4 weeks ago.
Okay.
I've been completely cleared to do anything, but I'm taking it slow. I'm not doing any hard sparring yet. I'm not doing hard wrestling yet, even though I'm allowed to. I just feel like there's no reason to. So I'm focused on drilling and just getting better. Just trying to enjoy it.
You mentioned that your goal was to return November 12th in MSG. Obviously, is that still the case? Yep.
November 12th, I'll be back. No idea who I'm fighting yet, but I will be there.
So we just had Dan Henderson on the show, and as you know, he is getting the next title shot. How do you feel about that?
I think it's kind of stupid, but I also don't like complaining about something that's already done. It is what it is, and because it's a done deal, you focus on the facts and the fact. It's a cool thing for Dan Henderson. He's 46 years old, and he has a chance to retire winning the belt. So you got to be happy for him. I can't complain too much. I was complaining when it mattered because I just didn't think he deserves a shot at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sets a precedent for the future of the sport. That is not good. It kind of takes away from working your way to fighting for a title. I could go through his stats and his losses he's had recently, and I just don't think he deserves it. I don't think he could argue that he deserves it, but he's getting it, and so just all the best to him.
He just told us that win or lose, if he wins the belt, he swears he will retire. He's going to walk away as champion, vacate the title, and he sort of understands why people like you are upset. Like, he did not ask for this. He didn't see it coming. It sort of fell in his lap. Do you believe him when he says that he will walk away if he becomes the champion in October?
Well, you know what? That would be a gracious way to end his career. I mean, he's one of my favorite fighters of all time, even though I've kind of crushed his last couple of years in what he's and like his fights that he's lost, just because I don't think he deserved a shot at the belt. But he really has accomplished so much in this sport over the years, and for him to end up being a champion and retire that way would be amazing. But I see it hard for him. I still don't 100% believe it's going to happen that way. If he does win, which I think there's a good chance he does, I just think you have to realize when you become champion, you have more opportunities. And you get that your next fight will be, for pay-per-view points, and that's when you make the real money. So for him to retire on top and knowing that he can make millions of dollars his next fight would be hard to see actually play out. I could see him, even if he thinks he's going to lose or whatever whether his body hurts or not. I can't see him turning down a $1 million to a couple $1 million payday.
So you actually favor him in the fight? You think he's got a great shot?
I think he has a shot. I think he has a great shot. I wouldn't say he's favored to win, but I'd say he has the same shot he had to knocking out Bisping as he did the first time.
Yeah,
I don't think much has changed.
Does it kind of bother you that they would book this fight knowing that he is going to walk away? Like, in short, it's like, what's the point then? You book title fights to crown a champion and have him defend the belt and do his thing. If you know that, if he's telling you, which he has, this, you being the UFC, that he's going to walk away, does that do you feel like that in some way devalues the belt? Like, what this feels more like a prop more than an actual championship that you're now going to defend as champion?
Yeah, I agree with you. But what are you going to do? I'm not going to sulk about it. I believe I'm the best in the world, and no matter who I have to fight to prove that, I will. And So that's really my mindset. My mindset has shifted to that, and I'm just sticking with that.
Does it still feel surreal that Michael is the champion? I'm sure as the former champion, you sort of still view the belt as yours. Does it still feel weird to see him with that belt and being called champion, etc.?
Definitely. Very weird.
Would you say
it would have been? I mean, there's a chance he's beating Dan Henderson, but I don't think there's much of a chance he's beating anybody else in top 5. But he has a chance to win and holding the belts again. So it's definitely surreal to walk around and people ask who the champion is in my weight class. And I'd say Michael Bisping. It's a little embarrassing, but it's just the way it goes.
Why embarrassing?
I just don't, honestly, man. All power to him. He went out there on short notice and beat Luke Rockhold and knocked him out in the first round. All power to him. But I just don't think he is the best champion you've seen. You know, he's not like I never thought he was championship material, to be honest with you. It was far-fetched for him to get a title shot ever again. He happened to be in the right place, right place, right time when I got injured, and he happened to have an opportunity to step up and fight for the belt, and he made it work. But before that, he was in the UFC for how long? He never even fought for the belt. So for him to fight for the belt and become champion out of nowhere is definitely a weird thing to soak in.
Are you a little bit mad at Luke that he did this?
No. I'm not mad at anybody.
Okay.
Sure, he went out there to win and he lost.
Right.
You know? It happens. It's the fight game.
Yes. So has anyone even reached, like, was there ever a chance that you were going to be the next? Because you brought up a great point when he said that he was going to defend the title first against you and you were supposed to fight for the belt, all that. Was that ever in discussion at all from your perspective, or were you never in the running?
I don't really know, man. I thought I was in the running. I wasn't hearing much from the UFC. You have to remember, it's been a weird time, I think, with the UFC, them selling and everything. I wasn't having the communication that I was used to having with the UFC. Things changed a little bit. And so I didn't really know what was going on. I felt like I deserved it. I felt like it would make sense for me to fight for the title. Rankings, Luke just got knocked out by him, and I'm next in line for a shot. I was a 4-time UFC champion. I've only lost once. So I thought it made sense, and I'm in the prime of my career. So I always thought it made sense to give me a shot to get that belt back. You know, you got Bisping, who's at the end of his career, who just had the best win of his career. But it's definitely his time is dwindling down, and I just think it would have made sense for the belt to come back to my hands. But I'll have to wait a little bit.
Have there been any talks about who you will fight? I mean, I'm assuming you're going to fight MSG. That's what you want. You've done all that work. It's a natural. Any talks at all about who you might fight?
Nope, I haven't heard a word. I've reached out, haven't heard anything.
Huh?
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'd like to have the biggest fight I could possibly have at Madison Square Garden. It's been a dream of mine to fight at MSG. I would like a fight that everybody's getting excited about, and a fight everybody really wants to see. And I don't really know who gives that to me. I think the redemption on Luke Rockhold would probably be the biggest in my eyes, and so I think the fight I want. And you have Jacare, you have Yoel Romero, and then you have some of the other old timers with the big names, Anderson Silva and other guys like that. And I don't know who it's going to be. Honestly, I'm just kind of putting the UFC hands. Whoever they decide to give me. But if I had to probably pick, it would be Luke because I want that. I think we're the two best in the division, and I would like to fight the best guy, and especially the guy who beat me. And I want to get that one back. So that's especially in front of a home crowd in MSG. That'd be a great one.
And would you be okay with that not being a main event, meaning not a 5-round fight? Do you like that?
I'm not obviously when I always visualized me fighting MSG, I was champion and defending my belts, and definitely main event. But things have changed, so I'm not expecting anything. I would love to be the main event. That's what I would want to happen, but I don't know what's going to happen. It depends.
Okay, so top choice is Luke Rockhold getting that rematch. There is a chance. Have you thought about this? Talk about turning a negative into a positive. Dan Hendo wins on October 8th, sticks to his word, walks away, retires, vacates the title. If you're booked against Rockhold, I could see them making you versus Rockhold for the belt right away, right?
Yeah. Yep. So, I think that would be pretty cool. So, yeah, that would work out good. So hopefully they make me and Luke. I think that makes perfect sense.
So, but I'm wondering who you're rooting for, though, because are you rooting for Hendo so that scenario plays out? Or I think you versus Bisping is a big money fight. You have a history. Are you rooting for him to keep the title so that you can get your hands on him? Who will you be rooting for?
It doesn't matter. Bisping will run from me as much as he possibly can. And Dan Henderson possibly, could retire. I really don't want to wish bad on anybody. Like I hope this guy gets killed or beat. I really don't care either way. Either way, I just got to keep winning, and I'll have that strap back and have these big fights.
Okay.
Either way, so.
And just curious, have you told the UFC that you want the Rockhold fight? Like, do you know how they feel about that?
No, I haven't had contact with them. I put some text out there.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't heard anything back. I don't know if things have changed, with new ownership and anything. I really don't know what's going on with the new ownership, to be honest with you, and what changes have came about. Usually, if you were working for a company, a big corporation, and you were an employee for them, which I guess we're not really employees,
yes.
So I guess maybe that's the difference. but if a big corporation came and bought that corporation, took it over, usually the new people that came in would probably have a huge meeting with everybody who works for them and said, these are the new changes. These are the people. Maybe we want to lay some people off. Maybe we want to bring more people in. This is a new mission statement for the company and how we want to grow it differently. I haven't heard anything. Nothing. I don't know what the goals for them are, and I don't think anybody knows. I don't know what changes, what doesn't. So it's a little bit of a weird time, I think, right now with the UFC.
Yeah, from what I heard, that they did have one of those meetings the day it was announced with the actual employees of Zuffa, but I guess since you guys are independent contractors, you got an email or something, but not much more than that. You've done some work with WME. Maybe you'll be in a good spot. Have you inquired about that?
I can inquire about my inside source. my inside source, the things that are going to come good out of it, or just having inside connections. Can't tell you that.
All right. Well, I'm sure.
I'm just kidding. I don't think anything comes from that.
It did get you backstage at WWE, though, right? You got to meet John Cena, Sheamus.
That wasn't through them. That was actually through my Instagram. That was kind of interesting how that played out, but it was cool.
What do you mean?
That was awesome. I put on my Instagram that I would love to, have my son meet John Cena and this and that. Like, it would be awesome. But the people I was with who work at MSG, like, WWE security is really tough right now. It's going to be hard to get backstage. And I'm like, it sucks. So I don't ever really use any connections I have for anything for myself. But now it's like an opportunity to really make my kid happy.
Yeah.
Which I've never really been in that situation before. He's finally at the age where he loves something. And I possibly could have connections to get him to meet these people that he's kind of like obsessed with right now. So I pulled every string I had within like an hour, and somehow someone got in touch with my gym manager, like actually my gym out here in Long Island, and had them call me, and then someone got me backstage, man. But it was awesome, man. It was like a dream come true to have my son meet people he's like in awe of.
Yeah.
It was really fun, man. It was really a great experience.
Yeah, your son, he just got a Sheamus haircut. He's that big of a fan?
He is. Like, literally a year ago, all he did was talk about me. It was perfect. Talk about me at UFC, but mainly it was just his dad is the best and it could beat up everybody. And then he goes to his cousin's house one day, and I guess he watched some WWE and specifically John Cena, and he just became obsessed with them. And next thing I know, he's telling me John Cena can beat me up, and I'm like, no, you're wrong. Like arguing with him, and now I just kind of gave up and realized, all right, he likes these people better than me. I got to deal with it and support him. But it's definitely a very cool thing.
And so your son is like is he watching Monday Night Raw? You let him stay up to watch that stuff, or do you just do it in doses?
No. He's more like on his iPad, YouTubing
Okay.
YouTubing stuff. Like I just put on like WWE and type in John Cena and his Royal Rumble matches he watches. It's unbelievable how he remembers all these guys' names. He knows everybody.
Yeah.
I'm 4 years old now.
That is crazy. I have a 4-year-old. He doesn't know anything about that stuff. Probably wouldn't show it to him, but that's a different
You're
story.
a better parent than me, I guess.
Yeah,
huh?
I guess, right?
Put me down. You wouldn't let your son watch that?
No.
No?
I'm not. I mean, to be honest, the
Is it
WWE
the
world,
cursing or the violence?
they're not very happy with me, the WWE world right now. But in general, the more I've grown up, look, WWE is a big part about, why I do this. Like I was a WWE fan, wrestling fan before I was an MMA fan, and I think that there's a connection. But the more I learn about the sport and the way they conduct themselves backstage and the injury, I feel a little weird about it. The more I've been exposed to it, not the sports entertainment. You know what I mean?
So would you let your son ever watch it, or is it just like there's a certain age?
No. Look, if he gets into it, I'm not going to stop him. That'll be incredibly hypocritical. I just don't like what I've seen out of it over the last few years.
Gotcha. So you're not going to be going to a WWE show and bringing him and introducing him to it on his through you.
If he goes, I'll support him. I'll have fun. I will let him enjoy it. My dad used to get so pissed when I used to watch it, and I don't want to do that to him. So I'm not going to go out of my way. I'm just going to let if he discovers it through his friends, like he's discovered everything else, like Power Rangers or PJ Masks, things like that. All power to him. But I'm not going to be like, hey, let's sit down and watch this, because I feel a little, I don't know. But I feel like that's
I hear you. I wouldn't have. I was not letting my son watch WWE in my house. I still don't know if I'm going to let him watch. I still have like a weird thing with it, but it's happening through like the iPad and everything like that. And I did bring him to an event, so I asked somebody else who's pretty conservative parents, and they don't let their kids watch UFC. And I let my kids watch UFC only because I'm always with them. This is what their dad does, and I can explain everything to them. Make it very clear you can't do this to other people, and I just make it very clear. Like, and this doesn't mean that my kids are going to be innocent for the rest of their lives. I hope they don't ever do anything to anybody, but so far it's working out. But
yeah,
my daughter is like a little angel, and she's 6 years old, so she's not going to be hitting anybody. But my son could be a problem in a year or two. So I have to be really careful with him.
By the way, your son versus Frankie Edgar's son. I saw that on Embedded. Who win? Like right now, if you let them wrestle, real match, who wins?
Frankie's son smokes my son. He's like 2.5 years older, but they're the same size, so they look like they're the same age. But my son's 4, his son's like 6.5. So it's unfair, but it's great for my son. And I'm so happy because when my son first started, I wouldn't even say he wrestles at this point. Like he's not like taking classes and he's not taking it serious, but he loves to wrestle like with his friends. When kids come over, his cousins come over, he just loves to wrestle. We don't take it's nothing serious. But Frankie's kid, I think actually he takes classes and stuff with Frankie. He's really good, but I was just happy because my son, when he first started kind of wrestling around, if he lost, he would cry and mope around, and I hated it. And now finally, like, he's on his back and he's still smiling. I love it like this. The key, I think, for kids, especially at this age, is just have fun. If they're not having fun, you got to get them out of there because they're going to end up hating the sport, hating you. I've seen it happen too many times with kids. So I just I'm going to support him with everything he wants to do. If he starts something, he has to finish it. But the main thing is he has to be having fun. Otherwise, he's out of it. I'm not gonna push him in anything.
Yeah, that is beautiful. That's great parenting.
Right now, at the age of 4, he loves fighting, which obviously I love secretly inside. And then he loves wrestling, and I love that as well. And I get super into it because I love it. But I have to be careful because I don't want to show that much passion for him doing it because that could kind of turn him the other way. You can see how much I love it, and then he's gonna, go the other way. You know how that works with relationships. So there's a fine line with parenting, and you'll never get it right, but you try.
We could do a whole interview just on parenting, and I would love it. Maybe just you and I.
Yeah. No one else is gonna like it. But
let me ask you about this before I let you go, because I don't want to take away more time from your family. You're doing something very cool with Cage Hero comic book.
I'm good, man. Take your time, man.
Look at you.
Am I boring?
No. I just, you're at the farm. What's going on with Cage Hero? What role are you in with them? Do you have with them?
I would say I'm a spokesperson for them. I own it. I'm a part owner of it, and it's real exciting stuff. I wanted to do something a little bit outside of fighting on the business side, and this felt like it was a perfect fit with me having kids. And Cage Hero was started with comic books, but eventually, and then it just came out the novel, and it's eventually going to go to merchandise and action figures and different things like that. And I think it really could blow up. I think it's a really cool concept. The owners of the creators of the Ninja Turtles, they're on board with it. So they endorse this now, and they have all their connections that they have through everything they've done with the Ninja Turtles. So hopefully we can follow suit with what Ninja Turtles did and just continue on that path and be the new generation of Ninja Turtles, being Cage Heroes. So I'm excited about it.
So where can people buy? I see them on Amazon. Where can people buy these? On Amazon?
It's actually the novel's in Barnes and Nobles now.
Oh wow!
And you could all the comic books. I know you definitely get on Amazon, and I believe there's other places, but Amazon's always a good one.
Now, are you doing any writing, any illustrations, or are you just promoting them?
I'm involved. I'm involved with kind of the direction of the company.
Okay.
But more, I'm not sticking my nose in and trying to be like a writer for them. But I'll as this starts developing, it's in the beginning stages. As it starts developing more, I'll definitely have more influence in the direction of it.
What about a Chris Weidman character?
Hey man, we'll see. Can't disclose anything now.
Really?
See what
wow.
happens.
That is fun. That is fun. I like that. An all-American character, Chris Weidman. I've always kind of felt like you were a superhero in many respects. Now with the bionic neck.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
You can buy me and you can play with me. It'll be awesome. You'll be in heaven.
Well, I don't know about the action figure. I just mean a comic book character.
So you're more into like reading the comic book.
I do like comic books.
You don't want to play with the action figure.
Well, no. I like the action figures too, but there is a comic book store next to where I live, and I take my sons there, and they seem to like it. So we go from time to time. I show them the pictures. It's a fun little activity.
Oh, so you endorse the comic books with the kids. You'll bring them to that. There's nothing. You're not worried about that. That's good.
No, we're looking at Frozen and Ninja Turtles.
Frozen?
Yeah, Frozen. You know Frozen?
Boys?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. They like Frozen. They sing it. They enjoy it.
You sing it with them?
Of course. Let it go.
Awesome.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Well, you and Demi Lovato.
Never bothered me anyway. That was me, ladies and gentlemen. That wasn't the radio. They didn't voice over. That was actually me.
You're tight with Demi Lovato, who sang that song.
Yes, she's great.
She's a big MMA fan.
She taught me how to sing.
Okay. All right, I think we're good here.
What do you got for me? That's it?
That's it.
And you're gonna end it with Frozen, me singing a song. Can you do something better than that?
No, I mean I think we've covered it.
Nothing really to talk about, huh?
Well, we've covered it all. We've been talking for more than 20 minutes here. We've covered the
What
neck.
do you got for me? You got any nuggets for me? Anything I should know about the MMA world?
People don't know this, but this is actually how our real conversations go behind the scenes. You call me up, ask me for the scoops. I tell you, why don't you just go to my website and read the scoops? But you want the scoop behind the scoop.
I want the scoop before the scoop becomes the scoop that everybody else knows about is the scoop.
Yeah, well, I can't.
I need the pre-scoop.
I can't broadcast.
Otherwise, I don't feel like it's a scoop anymore.
I can't broadcast that. Okay, Connor or Nate? Who do you got?
Nate.
Wow. Why?
What do you mean, wow? Are you surprised?
Well, I don't know.
Are you surprised?
I feel like a lot of people are picking Connor now with the full training camp, all this stuff.
Yeah, but what do you mean with a full training camp? Nate had no training camp. So, listen, anything can happen. I'm not saying it's a done deal, but Nate should definitely be the favorite. He won on, 9 days' notice. He was out drinking. There's videos of that. He wasn't in shape, which is what he relies on is his shape, and which actually got him through the fight even though he didn't have a training camp. So for him to have that much more confidence knowing he is prepared and going to be in possibly the best shape of his life, I think he's going to give him a huge confidence boost. And as much as you won't see, as much as Connor's mindset seems bulletproof, it's going to be in his head a little bit that Nate's going to be prepared, 100% for him. And I know Connor, obviously, on the other side, Connor is going to have guys coming in, and he's going to be way more prepared as well. But at the end of the day, you go into the fight and you did a full training camp, and you're in the best shape of your life, the opponent changes, you still were in the best shape of your life, and you still were ready for a fight. So not as much of an excuse as taking a fight on short notice.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. Okay, great insight. Check out Cage Hero. Get it on Amazon. Get it online. Get it anywhere you can. Great product.
Barnes and Nobles.
Barnes and Nobles.
Take them out.
Yeah, go to the actual store and pick it up yourself. Chris is supporting them. They're great people. Ian Parker and those guys. I support them as well. Chris, great to hear that you're doing well. Enjoy the day with the family. Appreciate the time, and I'll see you at MSG. And feel free to come visit us in studio. It has been a while. We miss you over here.
Yeah, man. Really appreciate you having me on. It's an honor to be on this show.
Thank you.
I thought that I wasn't big enough to be on this show for a while since you didn't ask me, but to be on here again just brings me back to my heyday and makes me feel like I'm important again.
You're always welcome here, Chris.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
Much love. There he is, Chris Weidman.
Take care, everybody.
There he is. Chris Weidman stopping by. Okay, I think we have located Alistar Overeem. Is he around? Is he alive? Is he on the phone? Alistar, are you there?
Yeah.
There he is. You're making me.
The lost child has been found.
Where have you been? Where did you go?
Yeah, I set an alarm, clicked it away quick because I was right in the middle of something.
Oh. Okay. Well, it's good to have you. It's good to see you.
How have you been?
It's good to speak to you, I should say. I was expecting to see you on the Skype. You promised me Skype. I was going to see your face, and now you're not there.
Yeah, my connection is not so good where I'm at. I have 2 out of 5 stars. And, yeah, we can try Skype if you want.
No, it's okay. I'm just happy that you're on. I'm happy we found you. I was getting a little worried. So,
listen, I don't turn out my good friends like some other people do.
What are you implying?
Just joking.
Okay, so here we are, Alistar. We are a little over, just 33 days away, I believe, from your big UFC title fight finally going down, you versus Stipe Miocic, Cleveland, Ohio, UFC 203. Let me ask you first, you had to do a media day with him on the day of the Cleveland Cavaliers parade, right? You were there that day, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there that day. It was insanity. There was like 1.5 million people in downtown Cleveland. It was crazy. It was great to be there. Enthusiastic fans, drunk people in the street. There actually was 3 shootings within 1 block.
What?
I didn't see any of it, but yeah, there were 3 shootings.
Whoa.
It was madness. Madness.
Did you feel like you were sort of being overshadowed? Like here you are doing this media day and everyone, understandably so, is talking about the Cavs. Like, do you kind of wish it was a few days later, or did you not mind?
No, it was a very nice experience. I mean, it's a city party. City parties are always crazy. It's always hectic. I was actually happy I was able to experience it.
Did you go to the parade?
No. I just did my my appearances, and other than that, I've been very focused on training. So I'm not celebrating anything. I walked around through the city a little bit to grab something to eat, but other than that, I've been very focused on training the last month, actually, the last period. Since my last fight, and before even last 2.5 years, if I go back to it. So there's not much celebration. There's not much looking around, partying. It's just work ethic.
Now, okay, so you were with him for the day. I'm assuming not. He's a kind of quiet guy, but what was it like just behind the scenes? What was the tension like? Was it okay? Were there any incidents? What can you tell us?
0 incidents. We were not together that much. To be honest, I think Stipe is a cool guy. I mean, we didn't really talk that much, right? Yeah, we're going to compete against each other, and it's strictly business. But, yeah, I mean, on the other side, he's riding on a real high, He's the hero of Cleveland. He's celebrating it. He got married. He's doing the Vegas thing. He's partying. But, yeah, I got one message that the wolf that is hungry is going to run a little bit faster than the wolf that is chilling on top of the mountain who has his belly full. And that's a little bit what I'm seeing here. He's enjoying the life. He's enjoying the high. But I've been working. After I lost here, I went straight back in the gym, and I'm just working for that date, which is coming up September 10th.
That is very good insight. So you've been sort of noticing from afar that he's going through the parades, he's being serenaded, honeymoon, all that stuff, and in the meantime, you're in the gym. So that gives you motivation. Like, do you kind of view that like, oh, I am here working while he's partying?
It definitely gives me confidence, and it definitely builds. It builds me up. I'm putting in the extra work, and you need to do that as a champion. And I'm doing it.
Wow. And how do you feel about fighting in his hometown? Do you think it's going to be hostile? What do you think it's going to be like?
I'm actually very excited about that.
How come?
Obviously, the whole arena, 99% of the arena will be rooting for Stipe. But, it is what it is. And, when I got my hands raised, I mean, I have my fans all over the world. But that moment, the crowd will be a little bit quiet after I raise my hands. I'm looking forward to that moment.
You mentioned going back to the gym, training right away after the Arlovski fight. That one was a little strange because you were fighting a teammate. What's it been like coming back to Albuquerque and being with Arlovski and the rest of the coaches and all that?
Well, it's been actually very good. Good to be back in the gym. I kind of did my trainings at different times, different locations. I would come in at Jackson's late in the evening when no one was around. So now it's good to be back in the team, back in the vibe. I miss the team. It's all good people there. With Arlovski, it's a little bit quiet. He's kind of like ignoring me a little bit, not looking at me, not saying anything. But I take that as a good sign.
Why a good sign?
Yeah, and the coaches are just chill as always. I mean, we had spoken out that we would continue where we left off after the Arlovski fight, and we're doing that just now, and it's just positive vibes.
And so you didn't have any conversations with Andre, like sit down, away from everyone, behind the scenes, privately, and just sort of clear everything?
No, I suggested that, but he didn't. He didn't want that. So, and I respect his feelings. It's all good.
Are you bummed out by that you can't just move on from the whole thing?
Oh, but I am. I have moved on.
Okay.
I mean, I'm focused now on the next fight, and if he doesn't want to talk or doesn't want to train, that's okay by me. I mean, I'm not reliant on him. My career is not reliant on him. Before we had fought, we hardly trained together, so it's not a big thing to me.
Would he have been someone who would have helped you train for Stipe because he's fought him, has a similar fighting style? Like, is it unfortunate that you can't use him as a sparring partner?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not really. I like for the JDS fight, we moved around a little bit. We understand this. I've been training at Jackson's now over 2 years.
Yeah.
And all we did was we did like maybe 4 rounds of sparring.
Oh wow! In that entire
2
time.
Years ago, and then we moved around maybe 2 rounds.
Okay.
That's it. So he might be part of Jackson's, but he's not Team Overeem. And of course, after the May 8th UFC Rotterdam, of course he's going to dislike me even more. And if you look at all the media stuff, he had a problem with me before that, but I don't necessarily have a problem with him. But it's all good. Good. It's you don't have to get along. I don't have to get along with anybody. If it's there, if the chemistry is there, if the flow is there, fine. If it's not there, also fine.
See, I'm so sensitive that I would feel the tension and it would bother me, and I would try to seek it and squash it. You're able to just block that out.
Yeah, of course.
That's commendable.
Listen, Ariel.
Yes.
You're in the limelight. I'm in the limelight. I'm a little bit in the limelight, I think, but you have your exposure. You're like on the media every day, this and that. There's people that dislike you. They're gonna say hateful things. They're gonna, have attitudes. You have to have the ability to not get bothered by that. Otherwise, you're in the wrong business. You got to quit your job. You got to do something different.
Yeah, you're right.
And I kind of like what I'm doing. You like what you're doing?
Yeah, for the most part. But you're right. That's great advice.
So you're able to put it in a box, in the I don't care box. My box is pretty big. I don't care. You just put it in there, and you focus on the good stuff in life, man. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good people. There's a lot of positivity. You have your family, kids, right? You're a dad yourself.
Yeah.
Focus on that, and you get it back. And if you, the thing too with negative people is if you're gonna focus on it, if you're gonna acknowledge it, engage it, it becomes more. So to me, the best way to deal with it is just ignore it. Just let it be.
Man, This is words of wisdom here.
Some life lessons, some real life lessons.
I like it. This is great. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Alistar. What about the coaches? Who will be in your corner for this fight? Do you know?
I've not decided that yet, but we're working on it.
You working again with Greg and Wink and those guys?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
of course.
okay.
Work with all the coaches at the gym, and we have great chemistry. We're working hard. Very happy to be able to say that the training camp is going excellent.
And what about coming off that high in May in your home country? Would you say up until this point, greatest moment of your career, what happened that night in early May, winning in front of your people? I mean, it was just amazing watching it and the reception that you got. Is that fair to say, even though you didn't win a title that night or any kind of tournament, was that the greatest night of your fighting career?
Yeah, but I don't think you can top. I mean, I've had so many great nights in my career. Right, the K1 championship was definitely one high. The Strikeforce championship was a high. Even my first championship that I won in that same arena where I fought versus Orlovsky, I won my first world title to Hendo. People probably don't remember that promotion, but at the time it was kind of like big, kind of like. Like a 1FC is today. They had a budget to bring in fighters from all over the world, and it was home, and it was my first world championship, light heavyweight. I was super proud. So, there's been so many highs. I mean, the K1 fight versus Bubba versus Peter Arts, of course, me versus Saki, me versus Tyron Spong. These are all killers, and we did tremendously good against them. And, it's another peak now. I think this victory coming up September 10 will be the biggest one.
Yeah.
And that's also the reason why I've been so dedicated. The last 2.5 years, I truly dedicated my life and all my actions into achieving the most, being the best I can be, and very proud of what we have achieved. And not only me, but also the team, the coaches here, the people in Albuquerque, the sparring partners. We're coming September 10th.
Oh yes, I can't wait. A month away. Now, is it fair, because you were supposed to get the title shot a few years back, it didn't happen. Is it almost better now because you can appreciate it more because you've been through so much, the injuries, you had ups and downs, you're coming off a high? Like, do you feel like you're more mature now to the point where, wow, I know how big this is, how hard it is to get here, what I had to do, what I had to sacrifice? Like, do you feel like you appreciate this journey a little more to the belt?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so. And I also think that, it's sometimes you have to take a step back or maybe even 2 steps back to come back harder. It shows the true character. And, that's also a little bit of life. In life, you're going to have your downs. You got to reshuffle the deck. But I think that I've proven, if you're willing to work hard, if you're positive, if you surround yourself with good people, you're going to turn out just fine.
Yeah, because I know you were pretty close to what you thought your career was over not that long ago, right?
Well, I had an injury when I fought the Bigfoot fight.
Yeah,
I went into that fight, but obviously, the whole world was watching, et cetera, et cetera. So and the injury was kind of like weird. It was lower back. You can't see anything. I can just walk. I can do everything, but I can't tie my own shoelaces. So it's an injury that, the physical therapist at the time didn't really know what it was. So it's like a little bit of a weird thing. And then that fight went like a disaster, lost the fight. But then, after the injury got a little bit worse. And then I seriously thought, hey, this could be the end of my career. What am I going to do after my fighting career? So, but, I worked hard. I flew back to Holland. I did my physical therapy with the team there. They're really good. They got acupuncture and orthomanual therapy. They don't have that here in the States, but they kind of manipulate your bones and your joints. And I recovered. It was a long road to recovery. It took like 6 months from pretty severe to normal. And it was right exactly on the Travis fight. But, in that period, there was a lot of uncertainty because you think your career is done. And, of course, you don't want to take surgery because surgery is never good, right? Fusing your vertebrae together, this or that.
Right.
But that's why, very happy I made that decision back then. Go back to Holland, fix my body, rest my body. And, and basically after the Travis fight, after that, it was all positive.
Around a month ago, we thought, wow, Overeem wins the belt. His first title defense could very well be against Brock Lesnar, who returned and looked great. Now, obviously, that doesn't look like it's going to happen. If you don't mind me asking, what's your take on this whole Brock Lesnar situation?
Well, I don't have much information about it. I'm getting my news from the headlines. So apparently failed an in-competition test. Well, yeah.
And out of competition. 2 tests.
Okay, in and out, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm the right guy to ask.
Okay, fair enough.
I think, justice will be served to him. He's got to answer to the USADA and to the Nevada Athletic State Commission. I never thought he would come back in the first place in the UFC. And, he made the comeback, and apparently it's going to be his last because I definitely don't see him coming back after this fiasco.
When you were watching that fight, though, did you think, oh, wow, he looks amazing. This could be my chance to fight him again? Were you thinking that at all?
I was thinking that it's been 4 years that I fought with him.
Yeah.
4.5. And he looked better now than he did 4.5 years ago when we fought.
Yeah.
That was my first initial fights when I saw him. I mean, he did good. He didn't do spectacular, but he did good. He did good against Mark because I fought Mark too in 2008. Beat him by an armbar, but that was seriously the strongest guy I ever felt. And he was just manhandling him, taking him down at will, and just controlling him. So that was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah. And of course, now we'll see what happens to him. By the way, I wanted to ask you, I know you had a very good relationship with Lorenzo Fertitta. Are you sad that he is leaving the company, that he sold the company?
I mean, things happen, right? I had a good relationship with Lorenzo. I think I have a good relationship with Dana, too. It's going to be a little bit different, I guess, but it's going to be a mystery for everybody. Nobody really knows how it's going to continue, but the UFC has done great business in the past, and there's no reason to wonder to question if they're going to do it in the future. If they're going to make their good decisions, and as long as you perform and you do your best, it's all going to be fun.
Yeah, but I always kind of felt, and maybe I'm wrong, that you and Lorenzo were like that. He was a big fan of yours. He worked very hard to get you in the company. I don't know. I always kind of felt like you were a Lorenzo guy. Maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong?
What makes you think that, then?
I don't know. I just kind of felt like he really liked you. He appreciated you. He always spoke very highly of you. Yeah. He was very excited. When you signed the contract, you were with Lorenzo, right? The initial contract?
Yep. I was. I agree with that. I agree with your thoughts.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good to hear. Okay, so let's wrap this up.
Yeah, you're always doing your
What are you
thing.
Talking about? Right. What are you talking about? I mean, it's just an observation. That's all. That's all.
No, but okay.
Okay. Let's okay, I know you have to go, so I'll wrap this up.
It seems like you don't know what to ask, Aaron. Come on.
No, I definitely know what to ask. I was waiting for your response. How do you envision the fight ending on September 10th?
2 or 3 rounds, knockout.
2 or 3 rounds. How do you feel about sharing the bill with CM Punk? Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I'm curious how he's going to do, of course. But I think he's in for a hard time.
You're not confident.
I don't know who he's matched against, but this is definitely different than pro wrestling, especially in his weight class. He's a welterweight, I believe. Those guys are tough, man, and he's going to experience it firsthand. And you know what the thing is, too? If he does bad, the whole world is going to be on top of him. If he does good, the next guy will be in line for him, and the next guy is going to just keep on coming.
Right.
There's so many good guys in the welterweight. So that's definitely somebody I wouldn't want to be right now.
Are you kind of happy he's on the card? Like it gives a little more attention to the card? Or are you one of those traditional fighters who doesn't really like the idea that he got into the UFC right away?
No. Listen, I love the idea he got in the UFC because I love tests. And he is about to test himself. And
okay.
I'm going to have extra respect for him if he keeps on going, if he wins, even if he loses. If he keeps on going and he wins in the end, I'm going to have extra respect for him. But now we're going to see what he's made of. Now we're going to see the true character. Because, everybody wants to be a fighter right until they get hit, until they get their face broken.
Yeah.
So we're going to see what's going to happen. And there's going to, all these guys are lined up. They all want to break him. They all want to break him mentally, physically. And it's not going to be fun for him. He's a hunted prey. Why? Because he's a big name, because he's a big money fight. So he's going to be the hunted. And it's going to be a lot of respect if he's going to be able to hold up and stand his ground and become victorious. And I'll be watching that fight definitely. And again, I like people who take challenges. That's how I went into the K1. Mm-hmm. Went in there. I'm an MMA guy. You go in there, best, and we're going to see what's going to happen. It's either going to be, and to come back on that, I went into K1. I lost a couple of fights. I remember my first big K1 fight was in 2001 in Holland. I fought A class. I was not A class. I was like C class, maybe B. And that guy destroyed me with low kicks. Oh, my God. Mm. And it was like 7,000 people in the arena, that time pretty big. And it was embarrassing because you're getting your ass kicked, mentally too. But at that moment in 2001, nobody ever thought I would win the K1 9 years later. So it's also about character. It's also about perseverance. And it's a test, and we'll see. We're going to see what happens with the pro wrestler.
I know this might be a stupid question, but I'll ask anyway. Is there going to be a ream leading up to this title fight? I would assume yes, right? It's got to be.
Of course.
All right. When's the first one coming out?
Well, we're actually discussing with the team right now because it's like there's not been many episodes, right?
Yeah.
I was actually just realizing that the other day. We've had like one episode a year. It's like nothing. So we're going to overhaul it. We're going to do more episodes.
Okay.
And so I can't give you an answer on that right now when the first ream will be, but it's not going to take too long, of course. In any way, one or two before the fight, and then after the fight, we're going to pick it up.
Okay.
Higher pace.
Two last quick things. What's the vibe like at the gym with John? Have you been able to train with him? Is he around these days after what happened to him last month?
Yeah, he's positive. He's training. He's helped me in my camp. I really like that guy. He's humble. He's nice. I know he has that other side too, but I appreciate it for what he's doing to me. He's helping me in my camp and just being a positive in the gym.
Okay.
So I don't know anything about his case. Can't say anything about that. But he's in the gym and he's training, and he's looking forward to come back. I know that he's very hungry to come back in the octagon.
And last thing, I asked Tyron Woodley this question a couple of weeks ago before his fight against Robbie Lawler. I love to ask people this before their first UFC title fight, and I'm curious about you, considering your road, considering all the belts that you've won, all the high moments you've had in your career. Have you allowed yourself to dream about, to envision what it will feel like when they put the belt around your waist? Do you think about that sort of thing as you prepare? Do you use that as motivation?
No, it's not part of my motivation. Not part of it, but of course you think about those moments sometimes, and it gives you butterflies in your stomach. But you gotta. What I'm mostly doing now is focusing on what I need to do, and that's the workouts, that's the techniques, the trainings. Getting the sparring partners in, getting all the details right. I'm very involved in my own training camp, and of course you're doing it for that one moment. You envision it. But don't dream too much because, there's work to do.
Yeah, well said. Great catching up with you, Alistar. Thank you very much for the time. Thanks for squeezing us in today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, great to talk to you.
I'll talk to you later.
Yes.
Run.
Okay, take care.
Ciao.
All right, there he is, Alistar Overeem. He has to run, and I understand that. We'll speak later. Okay, let's move along. Let's go from one European fighter to another. A few weeks back, we introduced you to Emil Meek. He defeated Husimar Palhares over in Italy. Well, shortly thereafter, he signed with the UFC. We were hoping and expecting him to debut on September 3rd in Hamburg, Germany. That is no longer happening. Wanted to talk to him about that and his decision to sign with the UFC, and I believe he is joining us via the magic of Skype right now. So let us welcome in Valhalla himself.
Yeah.
Emil Meek, how are you?
Me.
How are you, sir?
Good. It's very good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for taking out some time and joining us today. So I think a lot of people are confused by your situation. Can you explain to us why you're not fighting on September 3rd?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as everybody know, and everybody has been watching the news, and everybody's been taking from everything with USADA, and it's been a big it's a serious organization, and I've never been a part of anything like that, and I'm sorry I haven't been in it before, but I haven't. So as the enrollment started happening, and I delivered a list of all the substances from my knowledge that I put in my body, even like medical, like supplements, like everything. So and they had some trouble with some of the medication I have taken, and they chose to, or they asked me to document it with some paperwork, and I started doing it, and then all of a sudden it's a vacation here in Norway, and when it's a vacation here in Norway, it's everything except MMA fighters goes away, and it closes down the whole town. So I couldn't get the significant paperwork done, and they wanted to have it, of course, to make the fight happen, and for me to compete as a clean athlete, and then I had to wait.
So if this wasn't during the vacation time and you were able to get the paperwork, do you think that you would have remained on that card?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like small stuff, like I have asthma. I use my inhalers, and that's also on the WADA's doping list. And if I can't, it's a long story, but it's hard to do it when the doctor's away, and I tried to call him. He was in a sunbed in Puerto Rico, I'm calling him up, and hey, I was wondering about maybe you could send me some papers when you're down there, but it's hard to do that. So
sure.
Yeah.
Has this been difficult for you? Because when people hear about the USADA stuff and a potential violation, they say, oh, you're a cheater. You're trying to do something. You were caught. No one really, as you may know, people don't read the articles. People just read the headlines and things like that. So has this been difficult? Have you been getting a lot of that stuff?
Yeah, of course I have. So some people are gonna talk shit anyway. And Overeem just said, you just need to let it go and put it in the I don't care box. And so, of course, I think it's a little unfair, and especially in Norway, where MMA is such a new sport, and everybody has had trouble. It's just a pure violent sport. It's just street war. It's just whatever it is, and then the main character from the MMA get a headline with some violation of the anti-doping policy. And of course that sucks, and I think it's a little unfair to say I haven't done anything wrong, and it's just taking precautions that I'm that I don't want to violate any rules that I didn't know wasn't allowed 6 months ago.
Right.
So.
Was it your decision to do this, or did a coach or a manager tell you? Did the UFC tell you? Who ultimately said, you know what, it's best that you don't go ahead with this?
Well, it was we made an agreement with the UFC, talked to managers and of course the UFC also, and figured that it was the best, since I couldn't get the documentation until around now, I guess. They're back today, and the fight is getting closer, and with respect for my opponent that wants to know he's fighting, that I don't have to pull out 1 week before, or you've seen scandals like that when fighters had to pull out real close to a fight and just cancel the whole stuff, and we didn't want that to happen either. So,
was there a specific thing that you were taking that caused this concern? One or two things? What in particular raised these questions for you?
Well, it was my asthma, and I had some cortisone shots in my toe, and also I used the IV for my fight against Polaris to rehydrate. Yeah.
So even if you did this before, like those things aren't illegal outside of the UFC. I mean, those aren't, PEDs or anything like that. Even if you did this before, it's still in your system. You would get flagged. You would get potentially suspended.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because they don't know when you put it in.
Yeah. No, and that's the problem. So they want me to join the 4 months 4 month period, enrollment, and I think that's fair. I think that's maybe some that everybody should do, but
Sure.
it's fair. It's I'm just happy they're cleaning up the sports. It's just sad when it causes problems to people who doesn't cheat.
Right.
And because I got signed up with the fight before I got enrolled with the USADA. So if they would enroll me first and then give me a fight, it would be a lot better. But no, it is what it is.
So when do the 4 months end for you?
I think it's like I heard something about early December, like 3rd of September, December, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's it. I'm still waiting. I'm still returning my paperwork and everything. And if I'm lucky and then when everything is in order, maybe I can fight before. But at least the 4 month, or if not, it's at least a 4 month period. So.
And during this period, are you getting tested a lot? Have you been tested a lot?
I have to put out. We got this. What's it called? This app where we had to put in, what's it called? The USAD updater, and I have to put everything, everything I do, everything wherever I go. If I go to the store for more than 1 hour, I have to put it in.
God.
And if I change the training, if I change from my gym for 1 day, I have to change it. And if I go to a cabin, if I go to whatever I do, then I need to put it in there, and it's a little hassle, but I think everybody has it the same way. So it's a little violation of privacy, but it is what it is.
It's crazy. So even if you go to the store, like if you're going to go out for the day, you have to update that?
Yeah. So basically, if I haven't put in where if I don't have put anything in, they will expect me to be home. And if they show up at my door and I'm not there within 1 or 2 hours, they will flag me like, hey, you missed a test. And it's kind of crazy because it would be a lot easier if you just called me and like, hey, I'm coming to your house, please be home. And then I could be home.
Sure.
But they don't call me unless they come home to me. If I'm not there within 2 hours, they will go to my secondary location, which is my gym, and they will stand there for 2 hours. And if they don't find me there, they will call me. And then they will so they could just call me and make it a lot easier.
Yeah. Has this happened? Have they showed up to where you live and you're not there?
No.
Okay.
I've been a good boy.
That's good. That is good. So you ultimately decided to sign with the UFC. Had you known about all of this, these quote unquote hassles, would you have still done it? Are you still, at peace with the decision?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course. This good thing and the sad thing about the UFC that everybody knows about it, and everybody that watches MMA or had remotely any idea what MMA is, they watch the UFC. And especially in countries like Norway, if you're not in the UFC, then you're nowhere. So I could be champion of the Bellator, I could be champion of the World Series of Fighting or whatever it is, and they were just like, yeah, but he's not in the UFC, so yeah, it's not the biggest organization. So so I'm happy that's for sure. I'm very happy to be with the UFC.
Before signing with the UFC, did you talk to some of those other organizations? Did you get offers from them after the win over Paul Harris?
Yeah, I had some offers from a couple, like World Series of Fighting, and some other, like I think ONE FC was interested in, but I didn't like, I didn't want to be an asshole. I wanted to sign with the UFC, and
What do you mean
and
an
I let them
asshole?
know.
Why an asshole? What does that mean?
Like if like, hey, do you want my like, you want this? And then like, yeah, maybe. Oh, tell me more about it, and then just like go no. After they spent a lot of energy. So I knew what I wanted, so I just had to like, well, let's see if I get with the UFC first, and then I get back to you after that.
I wouldn't call it an asshole. I would call it negotiating, right? I mean, isn't that just part of the game?
Yeah, of course, but I don't think like I don't see how I should be tempted to do anything else than the UFC.
Fair enough. Did Venator try to get you back since you were their champion?
Well, they said like when the Venator guys are really, really good guys, and they just told me like if you're not getting signed with the UFC, then you have to fight for us, or then we want you to fight for us, and we think that we could provide you with everything you need, and so on. And they were really just happy about me getting signed with the UFC. They were just calling me up and said congrats, and was just really happy about it. So
okay, well that's good to hear.
Cool. Yeah.
Was this big news? Like, did you have to do a lot of interviews in Norway and explain yourself? Were a lot of people talking about this when it came out a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we had some ugly headlines, and had to explain some of it, but yeah, nothing that to be honest, I would expect like more heresy, like people would just go ape shit on me, but I don't know, like maybe they do it like behind my back, or maybe they're talking shit to each other, but not a lot of people have said anything bad against me, and a lot of people are writing me like, okay, this is just a postponed victory, and like keep going strong, and they feel sorry for me. Of course, I feel real bad about the people that bought tickets for the show and all that stuff. That really hurts me, and I want to go down there and buy everybody a beer and be friends with them and have a good time at the fights. But it really hurts me to like so many people want to go and see me, and yeah, I wouldn't say it's my fault, but it's yeah.
I was just about to ask you that. Will you still go to the event?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So you are going to hang out with people?
Of course.
How are you going to tell them where you're going to tweet, I'm here, come hang out with me, I'll buy you a beer?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow. You're going to buy a lot of people beer. Even people that didn't buy tickets to see you are still going to show up.
Yeah, but they have to be. Most of them are probably Norwegian. So
sure. Okay.
Run a language test.
That's right. Yeah, a secret word, a secret question here or there, and then you'll weed out the imposters. Would you say that this is like? How could you describe the mix of emotions here, from that win over Paul Harris that got you all this fame to becoming this free agent, sort of signing with the UFC? You get your debut, and then it gets pulled away from you. How can you describe that emotion, and how are you still dealing with it? Like, is it still eating at you? Does it still feel annoying that this has all happened?
Yeah. It's pretty good. I think it's pretty good, but how could I put this? After the fight, I had like a long training camp for that fight, and I was really, I was ready for a little vacation, just a little off time, fix my body, get my injury straight, and everything like that. And then I just jumped straight back into it. I went to a TV show in Norway, and we did, and then I just jumped straight back into training camp again, and my body didn't really feel so good. So I did all the work. I went twice a day, and everything like that, and I would be ready and everything would be good, but I needed some rest, and I'm happy I got that. So yeah, I'm happy I got the rest, but I'm not happy I had to pull out of a fight.
Right. So perhaps that's the silver lining. That's the blessing in disguise, right?
Yeah, maybe it is.
Okay.
And And we'll see. You know, I still have my 4 fights with the UFC, and I still have a contract with them, and I haven't violated anything. I don't have a suspension. I don't, you know, everything is like that. And now I can have some time off, and you know, there's only one time a year. The Norway is beautiful, and that's in the summer. So it's fun to not just be down in the basement and punching each other in the face all the day. So
sure,
it's good. Yeah.
Too early to talk about opponent? They haven't mentioned that now, right? I mean, since it's the summer.
They haven't mentioned anything.
Okay.
No, haven't mentioned anything. And you know, if I were to choose, you know, it would be fun to fight CM Punk or Mickey Gall or somebody like that with a lot of hype behind them, and no, that would be fun. I think CM Punk versus Valhalla would be a very good fight.
So what you're saying is you want the winner of the UFC 203 bout between Mickey Gall and CM Punk. That's what you're saying.
Perfect.
Wow, that is big.
And you know, yeah, it's not too big. You know, you can ask for you can ask for a lot worse opponents than that, I guess.
Sure.
You know, like Cowboy Cerrone and Damon Maya or Brown, all of them would be like super good fights for me. But it's a lot to ask coming into like the Rooster.
Sure.
With no fights in the UFC.
But you're thinking big names here. You're not thinking like newcomers. You're thinking the top dogs.
Yeah, but you remember who I beat the last time?
That's true. Husimar Palhares. So if they talk to you about a Cerrone or whatever, you take that fight. You don't think that you need a tune-up fight or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. I feel as long as I can prepare good for a fight, I think I can beat everybody. And if you don't believe that, if you truly don't believe that in your head, then you're probably in the wrong sports. If you think you're just coming up secondhand, like if you fight big names, and like in the UFC, you're gonna fight tough guys. Like even if there's a name or not a name, it's gonna be a tough and hard fight. And I think that the difference between a good newcomer and a veteran in the UFC is pretty small. And with the right edge and with the right training, I believe that anything is possible. And I believe that with the right preparation and focus, I could beat a lot of guys there.
Great stuff, Emil. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for clearing the air. Good to catch up with you. Good luck with everything.
Absolutely.
We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
All right. There he is. Valhalla himself, Emil Meek, stopping by. Wish him the best. And unfortunate to hear that he will not be making his debut on September 3rd, but looking forward to hopefully him debuting inside the octagon come around December or January. Okay, let us move along. So excited, as always. It is always a very special treat. It always feels like a very big deal, and this time is no different when we have the great Mirko Cro Cop on the show. Been wanting to talk to him for quite some time. Of course, you heard the news not that long ago that he is returning to MMA. He is fighting for Rizin in their openweight Grand Prix come September. Want to talk to him about that and a whole lot more. Have the honor of being joined by Mirko Cro Cop right now from Croatia. Mirko, how are you?
Hey, Ariel. Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to talk to you. Thank you for coming on the show. So it's been a few months since we last spoke. The last time we talked to you, you kind of said goodbye to MMA. You said you were taking a break, that it was time to go. You had the incident with USADA, and now you're back. Why did you decide to come back?
Once a fighter, always a fighter. Well, I don't know. Listen, I'm from Mr. Sakakibara, and as you probably know, he was the owner of Pride, and I had a really good relationship with him, and it was the reason why I decided to return. And plus, it would be a tournament, and I like a tournament system in MMA. And after all, to heal as much as possible all kind of injuries I had, But of course, some things will stay temporary, like it is, And but I feel good, and I just decided to take the challenge, and more or less that's it.
So when did Sakakibara first reach out to you?
Well, first, after my Pride days, we met almost 2 years ago in Japan, and when I fought last time Satoshi Ishii, then we had a dinner. Then we had a dinner together, and he talked me about his plans to start a new organization, etc., etc. And of course, he would like to see me there. But at the end of the day, I signed a contract with UFC.
Right.
I signed a contract with UFC, and the rest of it is history, right?
Right.
Sorry.
And then after, when you say that you're going to walk away and all that, he reach out to you again to try to get you to come back. Was that an easy conversation, or did he have to convince you a lot to sign with them and start fighting for Ryzen?
Listen, I'm not a child. Nobody has to convince me or not. And
sure.
He just made me an offer. He asked me if I would like to participate Ryzen Openweight Grand Prix, and I said I need some time to think about it, and I talked with my trainers and with my team, and we decided to take the challenge. That's it. No much philosophy.
And at the time, you still had a contract with the UFC, right? So you had to get them to release you.
No, I was released. But it doesn't matter. Listen, I'm with Ryzen anymore, and I just don't want to come all over again to UFC, the UFC, etc. I had a great time in UFC, and I'm really sorry that it happened. It happened. What happened, and even I wasn't guilty at all. But you say that I decided to do what they did, etc., etc. But it's behind me. I don't want to go behind, to look behind me, and let's watch the future.
Fair enough. I'm just curious, when we last spoke and you were a little bit emotional about your future and not fighting anymore, deep down inside, did you think that you would come back eventually? Like, were you mentally prepared to really stop fighting then?
No. When we talked, I was 100% sure. But people are leaving their comments. He's coming back again. When you are once a fighter, you always stay a fighter. And I would like to fight as much as possible. But life is something different. Life writes different stories. Injuries. And all kind of things will force everyone to stop fighting. So far, I made a deal with Ryzen just for this Grand Prix.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to compete again after that. I really don't know. It depends of my health. It depends on my health. I don't want to put in danger my health, and but it's not about some injuries that I can get in the fight, but it's about the injuries I already have, And I had 9 surgeries, and after every training, I have to put ice on my knees, and to cool them down, and etc. etc. It irritates, but so still it makes me happy, Today was my first training of the last stage of preparation.
Oh.
And now I have six weeks final preparation, and it was madness, And I after so many years, I started with 10-minute round. It's really hard. Like in the Pride days, the first round is always 10 minutes, and Ryzen will be also a 10-minute first round. So it was so hard, but after training, I was so happy, and I just finished training 20 minutes ago.
Wow. And how do you feel, like physically, injury-wise? Like, do you feel pretty good?
Physically, I feel good. Stamina is okay because I was training whole summer, and actually I train all the time. If I'm injured, for example, if I have some injury on the knee, I'm training something, other things that knee doesn't have to be involved, Or if I have a fist injury, then I'm doing a lot of jogging, riding bicycle, jumps, whatever, I cannot do anything with my arms, but I can still maintain my body and condition.
When you were back there in Japan a couple weeks ago around Sakakibara, and it kind of felt and looked like Pride, were you getting nostalgic? Did you kind of miss that whole scene with the Openweight Grand Prix and everything? Did it feel like the old days of Pride?
Yeah, I did. It was so nostalgic, you're right. And I stayed in the same hotel that I was staying during my Pride career, and it was really amazing, you know. And it was not just about Sakakibara; it's about other people around him, the same stuff from Pride days, you know, and to see the people again. And I just felt just like I returned 10 years in the past.
Wow, that is amazing. Kind of gives me goosebumps that you're able to recreate that that whole scene. So the first fight is September 25th, and then if you win that opening round fight, then there's 2 fights back to back in the end of December, right?
There will be 3 fights.
3 fights? Well, 3 fights in total.
If I keep winning, there will be 3 fights.
Yeah.
This will be September will be opening round, and then it will be quarterfinals December 29, and then December 31st will be a semifinal and final.
Oh my gosh!
So actually, in 3 fights in 2 days.
Wow! How do you feel about that? Do you think you'll be okay with that?
Yeah, I like tournament system. This will be a little bit different. I was never going through system like that. First, 1 fight and then 1 day rest, because the key will be to stay out of injury. You know.
Yeah.
It will be much easier to do a 3 fight in 1 night. Because after the fight, if you hurt, for example, your foot, your knee, whatever, your fist, it's okay, 3-4 hours, as long as adrenaline works, you don't feel nothing, you know. But after 5, 6, 10, 12, or 24 hours, you will feel pain, you know. So the key for the victory will be to stay out of the injury in the first fight.
Wow. That is a real fighter right there. So you say that you actually prefer fighting multiple times on the same night because the adrenaline helps you forget about the injuries.
Yeah, of course. I would like to do it 3 fights in 1 night. Yeah, that is the best, and it takes a lot of strength, a lot of concentration, a lot of everything. Believe me, it's very hard. It's very hard to go outside and fight 3 times in, let's say, about 3 hours.
Have they talked to you about who your opening round opponent will be yet?
I don't know yet. I'm expecting every day my opponent to be confirmed. Every day. It should be confirmed already, but they asked me to wait a few more days.
Any names that they've been mentioning to you? Any sort of hints as to who it might be?
Yeah, they mentioned a few names, but I don't know. There is no sense to mention anyone particularly, because I don't know who will be opponent when they decide who opponent. But it won't be Fedor. If you think about Fedor, it won't be Fedor. There was a poster made with Fedor's and mine and my face on the poster. It said Rising opening round 25th September, but it's just kind of commercial, you know. And I'm not sure if Fedor will be. I don't think actually Fedor will participate to the tournament.
Would you like that he participates? Do you want the opportunity to fight him again?
Of course I would like.
Yeah?
Of course I would like. Of course I would like, but I don't think he will participate.
Did you ask?
That's my opinion. I don't know what can happen, but I don't ask. Nobody tell me nothing, but I don't think he will participate in the tournament.
How do you feel about Vanderlei Silva getting a bye? Do you think that you should have gotten a bye, or do you not want a bye?
Vanderlei is getting what?
He doesn't have to fight on September 25th. He got a bye in the first round.
Yeah, it's because of his injury. You know, he has some car accident, and he can't prepare himself for a fight in September.
Oh, okay.
But as a legend of the sport, and he'll get a ticket direct to the final.
You had a chance. I saw you were next to Gabby Garcia. What do you think of her?
She's a very nice person, you know. Very nice person, amazing with amazing groundwork, multiple world jiu-jitsu champion, a very nice person, you know, very nice person. When you meet her, she's a very nice person, you know. She's a big, strong, you know, and but very nice, very nice.
The best part about that whole weekend of you being in Japan was that video of you, I believe, in the airport playing Pokemon Go. This was I love this video. Are you a big fan of Pokemon Go?
No, I'm not. It was a joke.
Oh,
it was a joke.
It was a joke? Really? That breaks my heart.
Yeah.
What? So you guys? Oh wow!
Yeah, really? No, we were waiting on the airport for our plane to Japan, and then I read on my iPhone some article that some girl was hit by a car on a highway because she wasn't. She just ran through the highway looking for Pokemon. I couldn't believe, and then me and my friend Stipe, my coach, and I said, Stipe, take a phone and record me how I mean, I was joking, but I thought that the people will realize that I'm joking, but some people thought that I was so serious about searching Pokemon.
People loved it. But we wrote an article on our own website about you playing Pokemon. And quite frankly, I don't play it. I don't understand it. But I thought it was so funny that you were playing it. I couldn't really picture you being into it.
I wasn't playing, but I don't want to hurt anyone's feeling. That for people who are playing it, who like that game, but it was just a joke. It was just a joke from my side.
Wow, that is amazing. Do you recall when you started to get that itch, that feeling? I want to come back. I want to keep fighting. Do you recall when that happened?
Excuse me, what? I didn't understand well.
Again, when we last spoke, you said, okay, you're pretty much done. Was there a point where you started to feel like, I'm getting bored, I want to fight, I have more in me, I'm getting, that adrenaline, I want to keep going? Like, do you remember when that happened?
Not special. Until that call. In the meantime, I received multiple calls from different organizations to participate on their events, and I turned them down. And I just didn't want to go and fight anywhere. And since nostalgia for Pride days, and since everything will be the same except the name, because Pride was sold, and so they cannot use Pride name. But I was thinking, and fight again in Saitama Super Arena and feel that atmosphere, and who can pay that? It makes me happy. Some people don't understand. Some people don't understand, and I don't expect them to understand. Not because they are stupid, because it's just because they have never feel that kind of experience I did, And for me, that is something special. That is something special. Believe me, Saitama Super Arena is the place where I feel happy, excited, and it makes me happy. Some people will never understand that, and I understand MMA is brutal. Some people commented that I'm desperate for the money. The money was on the last. Money was the last reason why I took the challenge, and it will be hard, and I will do my best to prepare well, and I'm going there to win the tournament. If I don't believe I can win the tournament, I will never go there. Will I win the tournament? I don't know. Competition will be hard. There will be young lions, excellent fighters, but I will definitely do my best. Believe me, I will do my best, and I will definitely be in the best possible shape. And after that, everything is in a God's hand. But I will do my best, and it makes me happy. It makes me happy. Whatever some people will think about it, it makes me happy. It makes me happy. And plus, on top of everything, to be completely honest, I was so depressed, and I was so happy, to go away at the end. Even I'm 42, it's normal time to go in retirement, but I train every day. My body is in a really good shape. Really good shape, and the whole thing that happened with you said, it just shouldn't supposed to happen,
Mm-hmm.
It just shouldn't supposed to happen, I could be warned, or I could be at the end of the day suspended a few months, 6 months, whatever, but when your tests comes completely negative, and you suspend that person for 2 years, same sentence, like some other fighters who was caught after the fight. So they did the fight under doping, under prohibited substance. that was found in their body, and we get the same sentence. Is it justice? Do you call it justice, Ariel?
No.
Is it justice?
No.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that two of us we met in the prison and asked you what did you do? And you said I slapped a guy. What was the sentence? 2-3 years. And what did you do? I killed a guy with a gun, and I get the same sentence. Is that justice? Is that justice?
No.
Is that justice? And the way they treated me, and I just felt bad, and asking a fighter that offering a fighter that he will be that suspension will be reduced, pull over, whatever. If I snitch someone, I mean, it is below every level. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. If I'm guilty, punish me, but don't come with that kind of offers, And if you punish me for being completely negative, which means I didn't use any prohibitive substance, you cannot give me the same sentence for the people who did their fight. People who did, I don't want to mention any particular names, but in the last few months, there was some cases, some famous names.
Mm-hmm.
They was caught after the fight. So they put the money in their pocket. They fought. They earned the money, and they get the same sentence like I did. I mean, it's not fair. It's not fair, but let's not talk about it anymore. I just had to mention it. I mean, from my point of view, that's not justice. From my point of view, that is not justice.
Is that part of the reason why you don't want to stop fighting? Like you couldn't end this way. You're going to use that as motivation because you were very emotional.
If I didn't get the call from Ryzen, I would stay retired. Believe me, I would stay retired. Even I have, and I just want to thanks to everyone who called me and offered me a fight, and I just didn't want to go and fight. But since Japan is Japan, that's my second homeland, and of course there was always. You said there was always small reason, It was small reason, It shouldn't. I have had such a rich career, and it shouldn't end that way, Especially when I did nothing wrong,
Uh-huh.
I did nothing wrong. And at the end of the day, but who cares? It's behind me. I don't want to break my head with that anymore, and. It happened. What happened is behind me now. I will participate the Rising Grand Prix, and I'm sorry, and I could even be ready. Maybe I could in the UFC came first time in Croatia. Maybe I would even participate if they didn't give me 2 years sentence. I mean there is no sense, But anyway, I had a really good time in UFC, and I wish them all the best. And they treated me well. They was correct in every day to me, and but my destiny is now to go in Japan and to do my best. I will really try to win the tournament, and I will try to get my body in the best possible shape. But what happened. What happened.
When we last spoke, it was end of November 30th to be exact. The last, the few months afterwards, before you got the call from Sakakibara, what were you doing? Like on a daily basis, how were you spending your days?
I was taking care, most likely I was taking care for the injuries,
Okay.
I was going every day for some kind of therapies, In the meantime, once a day I was doing running, a lot of stretching, and I was doing some exercise I never did before, like plank exercise, to stabilize my core and to get rid of the pain in the back, etc., and I did different kind of training and nothing special, and I didn't start working something else. At the end of the day, there is no need for that, and I made some smart investments during my career, and my life is secured, and I'm going to fight again just because I like it, and it makes me happy. Even my family is unhappy, of course. even they are happy. My mother and my wife, but they are keeping their mouth shut. But I can see they are not happy. They were so happy when I decided to quit, and but now they're getting upset again. I understand. They do. This is violent sport, and anyone can get injured. Can get serious injury, but. I will prevent that with the hard preparation and explain them that is my passion, and I'm professional, and I will definitely be in a good shape, and I will decrease the risk to the minimum of getting any kind of injuries.
Is it fair to say that you were getting bored, that it was like a little depressing not having a fight to prepare for, not having a training camp? Did you miss that sort of thing?
That's a huge stress for everyone, for every fighter who has such a long career. I had a first professional fight in 1996, so it's 20 years.
Wow.
In Japan in K1. So it's 20 years of career, and the feeling is how should I describe? The same thing like people who spend 20, 30, or 40 years in prison, and then one day they release him, and they don't know how to function in the normal society. And they just don't want to go outside. They just don't want to stay in the prison. Even prison is prison, but for them it's their home, the only home they know. When you spend 30 or 40 years in the prison. It's strange, You remember the legendary movie? I think it's Shawshank Redemption. What?
Yeah, Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. And when the guy is coming out and he hanged himself, because he didn't know how to survive in a normal life. I mean, it's not such a critical case with me, of course, but you feel strange, You're doing something for 20 years, and now you're supposed to stop. Okay, you can train every day, but there is no traveling around. There is no that adrenaline. There is no that stress. Whatever comes with the fights, It was a little bit strange. It was a little bit strange for me,
Wow, what a comparison! I actually just rewatched that movie a week or so ago, and I remember that scene very well when he hangs himself. He doesn't know how to live in society. You didn't get to that point, right? I mean, it wasn't that bad for you, right?
No, I'm not that bad.
Okay.
I'm not that bad. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Good to hear.
But the most important thing is it makes me happy, And some people, is it most of the people or not? Doesn't matter. Makes no difference. Some people don't get it,
Yeah.
People who never try this, they don't get it. But I spent 20 years in one regime, training 2 times a day, traveling every 2-3 months, traveling for the fight, having a camp, training, No matter how hard it is very hard. It is very hard. 2 trainings a day, and I had disgustingly hard training tonight.
Wow.
3 people were changing on me, and we are doing pads. First round, 10-minute rounds, and then 2 5-minute rounds, and then grappling, then all kind of cardio things, etc. This morning it was running on a treadmill, stretching, repeating the high kicks, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, who can pay it? I feel excellent. I feel happy, and that's the most important thing. That's my life, and then at the end of the day, I bring these decisions for myself, right?
That is a beautiful thing. I like that. A last thing for you, Mirko. Is it fair to say that Rizin is your last stop? Like, you're not going to fight anywhere else after this run in Rizin?
No, I made a deal for this Rizin open weight Grand Prix, and I don't know. Really, I don't know, because it is getting harder and harder for me to prepare. Not because I'm 42, but I don't feel old at all, because my cardio is excellent. Everything is good. I went through so many testing now before this preparations, and everything is really good. My recovering. There are two things that you need to pay attention, when the fighter or a sportsman is old. First thing is when you are not able to recover between 2 trainings. Recovery is slower and slower and slower. That's a normal process. Some people are finished in 32, 33, 35. Some people can manage to extend it to 45, 46. Remember Randy Couture, for example. Remember Dan Henderson, and they're extraordinary fighters, and they managed to extend they fighting life period, but I feel really good. But the problem is those injuries I had, and after every hard training, I had some kind of a liquid inside my knee. Nothing serious, but I need to put ice every time after jogging, and every morning, every evening, and it makes you depressed. It makes you depressed. Sometimes it hurts, but the good thing with these injuries, sometimes it hurts when I'm laying in the bed and I just feel some vibration in that knee. But the best of all is that I feel nothing. I feel no pain when I train. That's a good thing, In the training, I feel nothing. I feel really good, and that's the best thing. That's why I like to spend as much time in the gym as possible. When I train, I don't know how to explain it. When I do kicking, boxing, grappling, I feel nothing. But sometimes when I'm sitting, especially when I drive a car longer than 15, 20 minutes, then I feel pain in my knee. But I can train 3 hours and I feel nothing.
Well, this is great news.
That's interesting, and so training still makes me happy, and I can't wait for the next fight. And that's it.
Well,
I hope that I explained everything, and but of course there will be people who don't get it, who don't get it. This is my life. Makes me happy, and they don't get it at that time, aware of all kinds of risk. But I will decrease that risk, of course, with the hard trainings, and so we'll see what happens, And I would be the happiest man on the planet if I would be able to win the tournament. And once more, I don't know if I will win the tournament. It will be hard competition, but definitely I will do my best. And one more thing, 2 years ago I watched. He's one of my favorite heavyweight boxers, Riddick Bowe.
Yeah.
And he had a fight in Thailand, in Thai box. I don't know. Have you seen that fight?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he was doing Thai box, and he looked awful. Fat.
Oh yeah.
Old. And he fought at some 25, 26 years. I think it was a young Russian guy. He kicked his ass so badly. It was really hard to watch. The guy destroyed him with low kicks, and Riddick didn't know actually how to block it. He destroyed the low kicks. He fall down. He was going on the ground, I think, 4 or 5 times. It was really hard to watch because he's a boxing legend, and I remember his fight with Evander Holyfield. I think that's one of the best heavyweight fights ever, and that is said. I just mentioned his case because I would never let myself to get in that kind of situation,
Mm-hmm.
Never. So it means most likely the money was the reason. That's obvious, right? Who would go in such a terrible shape, and you are aware that somebody is going to kick your ass? If I don't believe that I can win the tournament, I would never go there. They can offer me, I don't know how much money. There isn't such a money that is worth that I spent in a way on my career and on my reputation and on my achievement in the sport. Of course, there is no guarantee that you will win the fight, but I will definitely never come in the fight out of shape, fat, and completely dead. That's out of the question. As long as I can prepare myself to fight on a high level, that's okay. And I'm reasonable enough, and I'm aware of everything. But I'm telling you, I'm training really serious, training hard, and that's most important.
Well, Mirko, this warms my heart. I'm so happy to hear that you're in such good spirits. It was tough to listen to last time on the show, but this is a great story, and I wish you the best. And I really appreciate you coming on and doing this interview with us. I know you don't love to do a lot of interviews, so this means a lot. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you on September 25th. We will be watching, and hopefully we'll talk to you after you win the whole damn thing. Good luck to you, my friend.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. There he is, the legend, Mirko Cro Cop. Amazing stuff from him, and what a difference from 7 months ago or 8 months ago, 9 months ago when we last spoke to him. Let's move along. He's been very patient. Appreciate his patience very much. Benson Henderson is waiting for us on line number 1. Benson, are you there?
I'm here. What's up, buddy?
I apologize for the delay. Mirko had a lot he wanted to get off his chest.
No worries. No need to apologize. I'm going after a legend in Mirko Cro Cop. I'm a patient man. Patience is a virtue. So when waiting for a guy like that, you can take your time.
Thank you. It's kind of fascinating to hear him speak about the end of the road and not wanting to embarrass himself, especially when you consider how you've dealt with your career and saying at a certain age, I want to stop and things. I don't know about you, but as a fight fan, I found that to be just the way his mind was working. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to talk to him a few times. We've talked to him and I about, coming towards the end of a career and extending your career longer and making sure you do the right thing to take care of your body. And Mirko is very correct when he talks about, with the science of sport, with the science of athletes for longer periods of times, we're learning how to take care of our bodies into longer periods. People are living longer. People are learning to eat healthier, and all the little tiny small things that you can do to take care of your body, knowing to take care of your body from a younger age. Don't wait until you're 35 and then start taking your body, but taking care of your body when you're 23, 24, 25, knowing that you might, if you do it correctly, you could have a nice, long, good career into your 40s or so. So knowing all that, keeping everything in perspective. Mirko is a super intelligent individual. The reason why he held a seat on his national government, he's very aware and knows what he's talking about. Sometimes I think we, obviously. Speaking English, sometimes some things are lost in translation, or we don't realize how smart an individual is. But he's a super smart individual. If you talk to him in his native language, he can go on in even more super detailed depth. But his English is good enough, more than good enough, that he can explain himself in English also. But sometimes you don't really fully understand how smart the dude is.
Okay, so let's talk about you. You return August 26th. You're fighting Patricio Pitbull, who's typically a 145er. This is happening at 155. It has been said that a title shot, I guess, could be at stake here. Were you surprised when you were told that it was Patricio Pitbull, who's typically a 145er, former challenger there, that he would be your next opponent and not one of the usual suspects at 155?
I was a little bit surprised, but then when I heard their reasoning, they said I could fight Chandler or Thompson next. I said, of course, Chandler always want to fight for the belt, so Chandler has a belt. Let's go get after him. Actually, this was right when Chandler was scheduled to fight, for the open belt. And then afterwards, drafting one, okay, well, he's the guy. You want to fight him next. But then he had a broken hand from his fight, so he's going to take a little while. He's going to be out. Thompson has concussion symptoms from one of his training partners, and you guys know me. I want to fight. I want to stay busy. I want to stay active. I want to stay after it. Oh, well, you can fight, or you can wait till Chandler gets better and heals his hand. I was like, come on, man. You know the question. You know the answer to that question. I want to fight. Put me in there. Give me somebody. We'll find somebody. Do something, guys. I want to stay busy. I want to stay active. And so they took out Patricio's name. I think he had a little bit of reluctance saying yes to the fight, but eventually, he said yes, and I agreed to it. And there you go, my next opponent. They're billing it as a super fight. A lot of times you wish guys could fight from this weight class or that weight class or this organization. So, you get a former, 45. Myself, a former 155-pound champion, and you're gonna see two guys throw down who have a lot left to prove. Both of us feel we have a lot left to prove, a lot left in our tanks, and you're gonna see it, August 26th.
So this is my first time talking to you since your debut back in April, and so I'm wondering, in hindsight, obviously it didn't go your way. Was that all Koreshkov, or did the new cage, new surrounding, just the experience, was it all a little too much? Like, did you put too much on your plate, moving up, fighting for the belt in your debut, the hoopla surrounding your signing, the media, all that stuff, new cage, new surrounding, new organization? Was it all just a little too much in hindsight?
I think for sure you could say that there was a lot played into the factor. I don't make excuses. I lost. I got my butt kicked. Andre threw me a whooping. I'm man enough to accept it, to take it, and to move on, get better from me, grow from me. But yeah, he whooped my butt. But I wouldn't say it was just any excuses of this happened and that happened and this happened and like the Bellator cage jitters, first time in a new organization. This and that, or whatever, whatever the case may be. On top of all that, Cro Cop was really good. He had a great game plan. He executed it very well. Just plain kicked my butt. So you got to get your hats off to him. He did a great job. All that being said, would I fight him again tomorrow? 5 rounds? Absolutely. You better believe it. No problem. No hesitation on my part. I felt he was a better man that night, and he definitely did what he needed to do to his hand raise. But could I beat him, tomorrow, tonight, 5 rounds? For sure. No problem. Let's do it. But that's not the route. For me, it's going to be 155 and getting a belt at that weight class.
Are you done with 170 for now?
I would not say done. I think there are some really actually super intriguing matchups at 170.
Okay.
Some of the VPs of Bellator are throwing some names out there. I'm sure you can think of some names yourself who they might be throwing around. I was like, that's really interesting. I would be okay with that fight. Not for a belt. But some interesting matchups, and that's the reason why they signed me. They signed me. Bellator signed me. They're paying me a whole lot of money because I have a good name and I put on exciting fights, and I am open to going 170, 155, wherever the most interesting fight is. Give the fans a great showcase. That's what they signed me for. They signed me for big fights. I got to deliver on my end.
Considering you had been with Zuffa for so long, what was it like just going through a new system, new employees, new people, new staff? When you left, you made a point to thank all the behind-the-scenes staff, which was a very classy move. First day at school when you were, a youngster?
Oh, for sure.
Was it weird?
Yeah, for sure.
How would you describe it?
Definitely weird. Definitely different. I tried not to. I wanted to, give everybody their due time and not just say, "Oh man, that's wrong. You're not supposed to do things that way. You're not supposed to do, A then B then C. You're supposed to do C then D then A." I wanted to give it time and see how they operate, behind the scenes, and it's just super different. It is a lot different than the way Zuffa does things. Not bad or good or worse or anything, just different. And I just, my first time, being main event in Bellator, seeing how they do this, how they do that, I was like, oh, that's different. I didn't know you guys did that. Oh, that's weird. That's different. My second time for sure, having that experience, knowing what to expect, knowing what day to show up on and who's there and knowing the names and all that stuff, I think for sure I'll be a lot more comfortable going into this second Bellator fight.
How about the circle cage as opposed to the 8-sided octagon? Did that mess you up at all?
I'm going to have to say circle cage, 8-sided octagon, no difference.
Okay.
Cage around you, just cage around you. I was running quite a bit in the last one against Andre, so no, not a whole lot of big difference.
Would you say that was the most frustrating night of your athletic career?
No, for sure. The most frustrating night of my athletic career was my junior year in college, wrestling at Dana College. I couldn't make it to the national finals. I lost because I looked at the freaking clock. With 7 seconds left. And I got inside leg tripped by a kid named Jake Diffenbach. Oh, I was so mad. I went backstage and I tore apart one of the rooms, tore down the TV from the mount, smashed the mirror, very out of character for myself. I'm more composed now. I'm older and stuff, but I was very upset that night. But for sure, Andre beat me up. I was sad about that. I wasn't happy. But, a bubble in the bubble, and you got to learn from it. You got to grow from it. Sadly, at this point in my career, I've had a few tough losses I didn't necessarily agree with, but, judges gave to this guy or this guy got his hand raised, whatever. It happens, so I'm okay with taking losses and taking on the chin and manning up and moving forward. That's no problem. in life, you need to have that quality. You have to be able to do that. If you lose and then, you're undefeated champion, and you're the best ever and you're the greatest, then you end up getting rear naked choked, and then you lose and you fold and you lose 3 more in a row. That's not good. You don't want to do that. You got to prove your championship medal. You got to prove your character, who you are deep down, and bounce back. You can't have 3 losses in a row. That's not good. You can't lose to some girl and then that's the end of your career and you fade away from MMA and you never fight again and you never do this, yada yada. No, prove you're champion. Fall 7 times, get up 8.
Is it fair? I remember talking to you in studio before the fight, and you said you didn't know much about Koreshkov. And I know the way you handle your career and the way you handle, the upcoming fights. But is it fair to say that you were, I don't know what's the best word, like, and I hope you don't take this in a negative way, like a bit arrogant, like thinking like, oh, I'm the UFC guy, I'm gonna smoke this guy, he's not on my level. Like, did you take him lightly?
Andre?
Yeah.
No, for sure not. I don't take any of my opponents lightly.
Okay.
I don't care who I face off against. I could be doing a local Arizona State tournament, Joe, just some guy, Joe, down the street who, works a 40-hour work week in the jiu-jitsu tournament. I'm not taking him lightly. That's not who I am as a person. It's not how I compete. I know for me, whoever I compete against, especially on that high of a stage, doesn't matter who I go against. They are going to bring their best. And they're going to try and beat me up bad. Andre, I knew he was tough. I knew he was good. I didn't know much about him, but that was ignorance more than being arrogant. I was not aware of him. I did not know how good he was. But I take everybody. It doesn't matter who I compete against. I was at freaking where was that? Not the local YMCA. It's like an aquatic center, but the local YMCA down the street the other day, playing pickup basketball with some kids. And I took those kids very seriously too. They were surprised by my veracity a little bit.
Did they whoop you?
They got their hands raised at the end of the game.
Wow.
I would say it was more because of my basketball's a team sport. If you don't have the team, it's hard. You can't do it all yourself.
That's right.
And those kids are freaking the high school all-stars, and they were throwing down dunks and stuff. Like, oh, you tall bastards.
Did they know who you were?
Yeah, they knew who I was. They a lot of respect. The kids are super nice. High school kids, they're cool. Took pictures with me afterwards and whatnot. Yeah, but they knew who I was.
That is hilarious. I wish I had footage of that. And thus, once again, confirming my suspicions that you ain't got game.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I'd say that you still wouldn't want to see me in the court, Ariel.
Okay.
No offense, but I know your game now. I'm wise to how you are. Talk a big game and start. Oh yeah, we're gonna play basketball. And I go to your city. I was in your city with basketball shoes, and like, oh wait, no, but my league doesn't have room, and
they said no.
And my friend showed up, and I understand, man. I understand.
Fair enough. You don't believe me? I tried. I really did. I made an honest effort, but one day it will happen. I'm looking at our poster right now, our poster of our match. You dunking on me. It's a little weird, but it will happen.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. It's gonna happen.
That match on Spike TV would outdraw any Bellator show this year. You know that, right?
You think so? Maybe.
No,
maybe.
Did you feel at all like was there any part of you that was like, man, I let them down. They invested a lot in me. They paid a lot for me. I was the big free agent catch, and I came up short. Did you feel that at all?
A little bit, I suppose. I think it's like I would use the analogy of like an NFL star after his rookie contract. He got the big payday and went to his new team, then has a bad first year. Like, oh, I'm better than that, guys. I'm sorry. Like, I had a bad year. For me, it's one fight, but I had a bad fight. But I'm better than that, guys. I'll prove myself. Just don't give hope on me just yet, guys. Come on. So I got you. I would use that analogy. I used it a couple times before. Being a big free agent signing, coming over, trying to make a big splash. Didn't quite go my way, but I'm a true veteran of the sport. I've been through quite a bit of ups and downs, and I know what it takes to bounce back and to not let it truly faze me, not let it crumble your spirit or crumble the belief that you have in yourself. I still know that I'm the best 155 pounder on the planet. And on the right night, me performing at 100% versus any other 70 pounder performing at 100%, I think I get my hand raised. But if I perform at like 95% and they perform at 100%, then I'll probably lose to some of the 70 pounders out there. But at 155, I don't think there's anyone on the planet who can touch me. At 170, I have to be firing on all cylinders. That night against Andre, I was not firing on all cylinders, and Andre threw me a whooping.
The next big free agent is Rory McDonald, also fights at 170. Scott Coker said there's interest in him. Are you going to do any recruiting like we see in the other sports? Are you going to try to get Rory to sign with Bellator? Have you reached out? Has he reached out to you? Anything to report on that front?
I have not had any talks with Rory or any of Rory's people.
Okay.
He has not reached out to me. I haven't reached out to him. I think he has to do what's best for him. He has to do what's best for his family. You have to take stock. You have to truly look at the numbers, break it down. And he's a smart kid. He'll do what's best for him. Hopefully he does what's best for him, and whether it's staying with the UFC, coming over to Bellator. Right now as a free agent, the world is oyster. He needs to enjoy this and take advantage of this small opportunity that we're afforded to do what's best for him and his family.
Are you happy with your decision to sign with Bellator?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no look at some of the past 55-pound champions from the UFC, from Zuffa. Look how much they're getting.
Yeah.
Compared to look how much I'm getting.
Right.
I am not complaining, man.
You had mentioned that the Reebok deal was a major reason why you decided to leave. Can you compare for us what you made in your last UFC fight from Reebok and what you made in terms of sponsorship for your Bellator debut?
Yeah, for my last Bellator fight, I had one sponsor, and in that one sponsor, just one, it was just shy of what I made for the Reebok sponsorship. But I am aware, I do know that it's going to take a while to build up those sponsors again. Sponsors in the UFC was at one point a very high dollar amount. You got paid quite a bit of money. After, the Reebok thing took over and all the companies kind of heard about that, the value went down a lot. And I know fighting with Bellator, the value is not going to be exactly what it was at its peak in the UFC, I have to build back up to that. And I'm a patient man, and I know my worth. I'm not going to sell myself short. If the Ritz-Carlton has, 100 rooms, and then 75 of the rooms are empty, do they rent out their rooms for any cheaper? Do they rent out the rooms for only $100 instead of, the $700, $800 range that they normally rent out their room for one night? No, they know what the value of the room is. They know what their worth is. So they hold to their worth of, $700, $800 a night. I'm not going to sell myself short. I know my value is. I know my worth is. It is going to be harder to find some sponsors to be back at that point, but I'm not going to sell myself short. I can't do that.
Why did you just have one sponsor? Was it tough to get people on board?
Tough to get people on board a little bit. Like I said, with the sponsorships, you have to build yourself back up to that range. So once sponsors start seeing some of the TV numbers, the viewerships, how many eyeballs will be on their product. You have to, for me as a fighter, it took me a while to learn all this. And you always have managers trying to explain to you, agents trying to explain to you. You always have the sponsors themselves trying to explain to you, hey man, we want to give you this money, but we don't know the ROI, the return on our investment. We don't know if I give you this much money, or am I going to make this much money back? Like there's no way to really truly judge that, to weigh that. So some sponsors are still wary of dropping the same amount of money they were dropping before. And that's my job to prove to them that I am worth it. Like, no, I understand you guys are hesitant about, sponsoring an athlete for this much money. But when you see the numbers, when you see freaking, Spike TV pulling 1.1 mil peak rating, there was a playoff game that night. So if not for the playoff game that went to overtime, I think it was the Thunder versus Steph Curry's team, the Warriors.
The Warriors, yeah.
So so that game definitely hit my target audience, males 18 to whatever the age is. So that kind of hurt us on the viewership. But when, companies start seeing viewership, they start seeing the Nielsen ratings being at, 1.1, 1.2, 1.5, then they start to change their mind a little bit. So it's my job to prove that I am worth it. I am worth this number. I am worth that number. But it's a process. It's not going to be easy, but I never was looking for the easy way out either.
Recently, you publicly supported Mark Hunt. And I'm wondering, and you've said that, you would be in support of a union. Do you feel like because you are a part of Bellator, you might get left out of that? Meaning, if there is a union, there's a good chance because the structure of Bellator and the UFC is different, that it would be just sort of a UFC association of sorts and not a Bellator one. And will that bother you that you can't be a part of that? Or am I wrong? And do you think it will be more of a inclusive one as opposed to exclusive one?
I am not as up on all of the information.
Okay.
I have talked to Mark Hunt's people.
Oh.
I've talked to Kung Lee and John Fitch's people. Both want the same idea, the same thing, Fighters Union, Fighters Association. We're looking at different models to follow through with, whether it's the tennis model or the international football model, soccer model, whether it's the basketball model, of which, we are individual sport, so we can't exactly follow the NFL model, we can't exactly follow the NBA model. Because we are an individual sport, it won't necessarily be just a UFC Fighters Association. It won't be just a Bellator Fighters Association. It will be a Fighters Association, a Fighters Union of all fighters everywhere. And then say you're not quite to the UFC level, it's going to have to start small. Like everything, you have to start grassroots, build your way up, establish good, solid fundamentals, and build your fighters. So you have to start smaller, like small, low key. You have a few big name fighters, but then start smaller out and have all the local shows. So the smaller local shows, they're all going to have to be whatever certified by the MMA FA, the MMA Fighters Association, or whatever the name ends up being. They have to be certified by them. Otherwise, you can't get all the fighters who have the MMA FA cards. They won't fight for you. They can't fight for you. They refuse to fight for you because you're not certified by the MMA FA. You're not doing it. So being a part of that, it means you have to give up certain things. You have to establish certain things. You have to do certain things for the fighters. You have to give a certain percentage goes to the fighters. If the live gate is $10,000, you have to promise to give at least maybe 30% or 40% or 50%, whatever the percentage is, goes towards the fighters. And then the fighters will have our own lawyers and our own this and our own that to make sure that we get the proper percentage, and then that percentage goes towards the fighters, and then they're paid, wherever their rate is, and on top of that, there's a whole lot to it. But no, it will not be just a UFC Fighters Association or a Bellator Fighters Association. I am, from what I'm told from Mark Hunt's people, from Kung Lee and John Fitch's people, we're looking at one association, one fighters union. Anybody trying to separate the fighters, they're doing it for a reason. They're trying to separate to make our voice smaller, to make our pull, our demand smaller. So it would be very bad for us, detrimental for the fighters to separate at all. So we need to stay strong. We need to be smart about it. We need to hire smart people to work for us. We got to hire smart lawyers and intelligent people who can help guide us in the formation of this Fighters Association or Fighters Union.
Are you confident that in your active career span that this will happen, that you will be a part of something like this?
I started looking up some of the history of the Tennis Association, how many years it took them to form. I think they were founded like 1940 something, if I remember correctly. I started looking up even the English Premier League, how they formed their association when they came together, and it seemed to take quite a while. It's quite a lengthy process to really form. And then a lot of those organizations, like the Tennis Association, they were actually formed in association with the actual governing World Tennis Tour or whatever it's called. I forget what the acronym is for it. But they were formed in association with them. So they even had the support of the main governing body, and it still took a while for them to form their tennis association. it'll seem to take a while. It's already been. I know a lot of guys have already been working on it for a couple of years now, but I'm not sure. I still I'm looking to retire in not too long, so I'm not sure if it'll get done in my fighting time period. But definitely, if not while I'm fighting, I would say probably a couple of years after that.
You still there, Benson? Did I lose you, Benson?
You got me, Ariel?
Okay, yeah. I thought you cut out there for a second.
No, sorry.
And this is fascinating stuff. I feel like I could talk to you about this stuff forever, but I'm just curious. You saw what happened to Cyborg Santos with his skull getting fractured. Does that give you any pause?
Yeah.
Does that make you like rethink the sport, your place in the sport, your future, your health? How do you internalize that?
I would say to that, like, you see the Olympics, the guy on the vault or the beam and his leg shattered.
Yep.
There's always horrific bad accidents in any sport. Whether if you're an equestrian, dear Lord, some of the accidents they have because they're dealing with horses and stuff. So you're going to have horrible, sad accidents. No matter what sport you do. For MMA, that was a pretty bad one. Your face, your skull, your forehead being broken like that. That looks nasty. But it's a part of sport. If you ride horses, you gotta be aware. Horse, you walk the wrong way, not paying attention, the horse just kicks back. There was just an accident just recently with a horse breaking, some dude's ribs and like it being like life-threatening, so to speak. So like there's always risk and dangers no matter what sport you do. Playing softball and then you take a fast pitch to the face, like that's pretty scary stuff too. I've seen plenty of organs broken in softball and baseball. So it's a part of sport. It's one of those things you have to realize, you have to accept, and you have to go forward with.
Last question for you, Benson. And again, thank you very much for the time and the candor and the patience, as always. You were in Mackenzie Dern's corner for her debut. What do you think her ceiling is, and how long, realistically, because she's talking about UFC in 2017, how long before she can compete with the best in the UFC, in your opinion, as someone who helps train her and corner her?
I would say, first of all, Mackenzie Dern, if you have not heard of it yet, let me be the first one to tell you, she will be bigger than Ronda Rousey before Ronda Rousey before she lost.
Wow.
She's going to be huge. She's going to be big. She has a excellent work ethic. She's in case anybody listening does not know, go look her up. She is a multiple-time jiu-jitsu world champion. She's won ADCC. She's won Abu Dhabi. She's won Worlds. She's the current number one ranked female jiu-jitsu practitioner on the planet. So she has amazing work ethic. She's an amazing athlete. She definitely needs to work on her MMA skills. Her ground game is phenomenal. Any woman on the planet gets to go to the ground with Mackenzie, and Mackenzie's going to tap her, or just dominate her like she did her first opponent. Her jiu-jitsu is so good fundamentally that it transitions well into jiu-jitsu. It's not like some of the jiu-jitsu people who try to transition over to MMA. It's all about flash and fancy leg locks and this and that, and then you end up getting punched in the face. And you had more than a good handful of guys trying to segue over into MMA, but their jiu-jitsu game is so particular that they don't really transition very well into MMA. They don't really have the sort of success that they had in jiu-jitsu. They don't have that success in MMA because the fundamentals aren't very strong. Mackenzie's game is great for MMA because their fundamentals are so strong. Because the fundamentals are so strong, it allows her to do some fancier stuff on the ground. And then because her fundamentals are so strong, it allows her to do well in MMA also. And I think, her working her butt off, staying, grounded in the MMA world, getting better, growing. She's super young. Like, she's going to be a big, huge star. You're going to see her in 10 years. You'll see her in movies and stuff, and she's going to do great. She's going to be awesome.
Wow.
She happens to be my son's godmother. She's going to be amazing. She's my wife's best friends. Good training partner. She's trained with us ever since she first started thinking about training MMA. She's trained at my gym, and she's gonna the world's gonna be her oyster.
Wow, glowing! I don't think you could beat that kind of praise from Benson Henderson.
It's gonna be hard. The problem is living up to it.
Yeah,
that
is true.
You get punched in the face, you get kicked, you get sad, you try and you get a triangle choke, and you get knee to the ribs, like lifting it up is going to be hard. But I think she has all the tools, she has all the skills to do just that. But when you do have that much praise, it is that much tougher to have that success. So it's almost a gift and a curse. It's almost a good thing, bad thing, kind of a thing. She has a ton of, me personally, I think she can do great. But man, it's going to be hard for her to live up to it.
Well, she's very lucky that she has both you and John Crouch, two of the best, in her corner, and it was fun to watch her debut. I'm looking forward to seeing if she lives up to all of that promise in the next few years. For now, thank you so much, Benson. Really appreciate the time. Best of luck to you August 26th in Anaheim, California, the Pond, site of so many great MMA fights. This time, it will be the venue for Benson Henderson versus Patricio Pitbull. A very, very interesting card for Bellator, by the way. Some other names, Bubba Jenkins, who will be joining us later, AJ McKee on that card. How about Kimbo Slice Jr. also on that card? So thank you very much, Benson. Appreciate it, and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much, man. You guys tune in. Free on Spike TV. God bless, brother.
All right, there he is. Benson Smooth Henderson stopping by. Great stuff from him. Actually, we will be talking to one Bubba Jenkins in around 20 or so minutes about his fight on that card. He has a lot to discuss as well. For now, let us welcome in Mr. New York Rick. Things got a little bit delayed. We can blame the potentially future heavyweight champion Alistar Overeem for that. But nonetheless, a fun show thus far. Still a little bit more to go. Mr. New York Rick, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
A bit of a different angle this time for you, camera angle. It's a little bit zoomed out. I'm used to getting
good.
Up close and personal with the pores.
You know what? Then maybe this
line.
is what we'll go with from now on.
I usually check in with New York Rick before the show as he's working on the graphics and whatnot. True or false, New York Rick? You were playing Pokemon Go back there as you were working on the assets for this show.
I'm never not playing Pokemon Go.
Your phone was, the lack of respect and regard for your coworkers was just, the phone was just there, and I saw something like Level Up 24, right?
Let the people know, 24, baby.
Was it 24?
24.
I don't even know what that means.
You think I don't see you eyeballing it? You think I don't see you?
I made a mental note.
Yeah, come on. I'm never not playing Pokemon.
Scale of 1 to 10, how crushed are you that Mirko Cro Cop announced...
Wasn't playing really Pokemon? One of our, Ina, who often writes into the show, let me know on Twitter that he wasn't playing Pokemon previous to this, and I was heartbroken when she know. She seems to know everything about Mirko and Croatian fight sports. So
yes.
Shout out to her. She let me know, and I was crushed then. Now, it was just the second time I heard it. I wasn't too...
Well, thanks for telling me. I wouldn't have wasted a question on that.
She tweeted both of us.
Oh, I didn't
Some
see
people
that.
Pay attention. Some people don't.
There's
Maybe
just
instead
too
of
much.
watching what I'm doing on my phone, pay attention to the people tweeting at you.
Well, yesterday I made a cardinal mistake. I promised myself after the Kevin Owens debacle that I would stop addressing the pro wrestling community in any kind of negative light, I guess you can call it that. And I made the mistake. I was at the pool with my kids, and they were swimming. I wasn't. I checked in on this whole Conor McGregor versus WWE thing. I said, I'm not touching this one. In fact, someone texted me about it, and I said, I am tempted to touch it. I am not going to touch it for this very reason. And then I was alone for a few minutes, and then I fell into the trap. I touched it, and then hell ensued because I got every 13-year-old booger eater writing me things on Twitter could they have not proven my point any better, right? They actually just proved my point. You proved my point. Like, stop caring. You remember when Dana White did the same thing where he called pro wrestling, I think he called it fake, and that pissed everyone off? It was the night of a pay-per-view, and Randy Orton weighed in. Do you remember this, like a year or so ago?
I do remember, yeah.
I think they were comparing the network to Fight Pass, and he's like, well, we don't, do fake stuff, something like that. And someone asked Paul Heyman about this at a show that he was doing a Q&A, and asked his comments or his thoughts on it. And Paul said something to the effect of, I couldn't care less what Dana White thinks about my sport, and he shouldn't care less what I think about his sport. What I'm trying to say is, why do they get this worked up? Conor McGregor said something that you hear on a playground among, third graders, and this prompted a response that you would only hear from fellow third graders, like, oh yeah, you're the size of my leg, I could beat you up. Oh yeah, I can make more money than you. Oh yeah, like, we don't have the featherweight division in WWE, thus you're what? Like, these were the comebacks. To me, the only thing that I could come up with was that, like, they sent a mass email to all the wrestlers, say like, oh, you know, take the bait here, get some notoriety, get some publicity, and let's try to run with it, because I can't imagine them really being that insecure. Now, the fans writing to me and some of the other wrestlers or personalities writing to me, I think they were really just trying to prove my point. I don't know why they would. Why would they care? But I was just baffled by these responses that I couldn't take it anymore. I had to say something. I was just amazed. It blew my mind.
You got gotten to. That's all I can say. You got gotten to. You are advocating them to forget about it and not respond. Why did they take the bait? They're third graders. Well, guess who took the bait as well?
No,
Ariel.
I didn't take the bait. I didn't take the bait.
No. They baited you, and you
who
responded.
Baited me? Well, I guess no, but the difference is they were being serious. They were being serious. They were actually legitimately offended, insecure. Like,
Do we know this for a fact?
Oh, well, I've reached out. I've done my due diligence. You know what's the funniest thing about it? I said that at the end of the day, shouldn't they be more annoyed at Brock Lesnar? He's the one who Conor was talking about. He's the one who failed the 2 tests, and he's the one who, in light of his drug test failures, exposed the wellness policy that they do such a great job of promoting and saying is on the up and up for what it really is. He's the one that exposed that the quote-unquote part-timers don't get tested. And I mentioned this, and everyone wrote, I got so many replies, aren't you a real journalist? Shouldn't you know that the wellness policy is only for the part-timers? Well, again, I did my due diligence. This wasn't public knowledge. This wasn't public knowledge before Brock popped and this news came out, and WWE sort of exposed themselves, saying, look, we don't test this guy. This wellness policy isn't for him. It's for our day-to-day people. Now, who's day-to-day, who's not, we can only guess. But you get what I'm saying? Like, these people who are like, well, we all knew this. No, actually, you didn't. Brock exposed it. So this wellness policy that you all keep, and what the hell is a wellness policy? Like, why don't you just call it a PD policy, a drug testing policy? Like, what is a wellness policy? This wellness policy that you keep saying is like, you know, so clean, and we like to, you know, weed out the drug teachers. No, it actually didn't exist for your biggest stars. Some of their biggest stars are quote unquote part-timers. They actually weren't being subjected to any kind of drug testing. That's who you should be upset at if you're a fan of the sport and care about the sport. And I have the utmost respect for pro wrestlers. I really do. I mean, I wasn't taking a shot at them necessarily. I was taking a shot at these, you know, sports entertainers who should know a thing or two about selling an angle, selling pay-per-views. You know, at the end of the day, what is he really saying? And then they come out and like it's this insecurity that no, if you criticize my sport, let me show you how tough I really am. That's the part I don't get. Like, why do you care when he says this? Unless you're trying to get a match with him at WrestleMania, then I get it. But otherwise, the guy calls you a PUSSY and says he could slap your head, and this is what prompts this amazing amount of tweets and reaction. I mean, to me, it's just baffling. I couldn't believe it. Could you imagine Andy Kaufman in 2016 saying things like this? How would Twitter and fellow pro wrestlers react to his comments? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, of all people, they should be the ones who understand what Conor was doing.
I think you're getting worked.
I'm not getting worked. I'm actually not getting worked. It to me, it was so mind-blowing that they were reacting this way. And then I sent out my tweets, which I instantly regretted because I'm now subjected to like the most, the lowest common denominator. I'm being subjected to this, and thus, in their responses, they are proving my point. That's the amazing part about it.
There's two separate entities
here. They are proving
here,
my
though.
point.
The WWE wrestlers,
who I was strictly referring to. I wasn't talking about anyone else. I was talking about the wrestlers trying to show who was the tougher man, who was the bigger guy. I wasn't talking about the fans. I mean, I get that.
So the wrestlers are responding and saying...
No, and thus, after my tweets...
I think there's two things here. I think the wrestlers are working you, and you're eating it up.
I'm not eating it up. I just can't believe that this is their approach. Like,
why? It's working.
It's elementary.
We're talking about them the same way that the wrestling world is talking about Conor McGregor.
I don't subscribe, believe it or not, to the notion that all good press or all press is good press. Just because we're talking about it doesn't mean it's good. Sometimes it's stupid.
I think both sides achieved their goals here. I think Conor McGregor brilliantly, got the wrestling world to speak about him. Oh, is he going to fight at WrestleMania? Is he going to do this and that? He's got a fight upcoming. It was brilliant. And I think the wrestling world is now back on the radar in our sport. After Brock just stepped away now it's there's even more wrestling talk. I think everybody got what they wanted out of this scenario, except for you when you got the fans responding to you and, not getting it. I understand that.
What cracks me up is a lot of the responses are, aren't you the guy who cried on his show to get his credentials back? Which is actually not, it's actually not factually correct. But to me, anyone, and I've heard this from all walks of life at this point, anyone who uses that as any kind of insult, to me, you're saying a lot more about yourself than you are trying to say about me. Like the fact that you are resorting to like, aren't you the guy who cried? Like this is some sort of great sin, this great crime that I committed. I think you're really just exposing something about yourself. And I am open to it. I know it's going to come. I knew it was going to come the day it happened. And I don't even know if crying is the best way to describe it, but whatever the case is, whatever you want to say, it's all good. But I just, the point I'm trying to make is all these responses did was prove what I was pointing out, that there's this insecurity. Like to me, if I was a fan of this stuff, I would read what Conor said and I'd be like, haha. I'd even retweet it when he said it because it's like, oh, that's Conor being Conor. This is funny. Let's move on. And then to see, the way that they reacted to it, to read the way they reacted to it is just, to me, it was just mind blowing. I just couldn't believe it. But I guess,
John Cena is the toughest guy in the world, and they have to defend that. I understand.
They have to defend it. I got some other wrestlers being like, and the funny thing is, I'm like, oh, cool. Taz is writing me. This is great. This is awesome.
What did he say?
Oh, I don't know. He's like, oh, we're defending our sport, and oh, how this is what's sticking up. Okay, you're like, what are you defending from? Like some attack?
That's now I'm lost.
Just do me a favor and read my mentions over the last 24 hours.
I didn't know that the wrestlers themselves.
Yes. Man, I got Velvet Sky.
They're either taking this really far, or there's something.
I just couldn't believe. That's the thing. I just couldn't believe it.
All right.
It was just amazing. They were actually. I got Mark Madden, the former WCW announcer. Like, I have respect for all these people. I have nothing. How dare we stick up for our sport and what we believe in? What are you talking about? He was talking about Brock, and he was talking about your sham of a quote unquote wellness policy. That's it. No one was criticizing you as entertainers. No one was putting you down. No one was degrading you. No one was trying to say that you are not worthy of the attention and money and praise that you all received. No one was saying any of that. And yet one stupid comment resulted in all these big names talking about it. Did you get what I'm trying to say? It was just like, what?
Sure.
Come on, guys. You're better than that. That's what I was trying to say. You are better than this. Don't fall for it. But maybe there's a bigger picture here. He shows up, wrestles one of these people at a WrestleMania, and we're the dummies.
Conor
right?
has done it again, as always.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about MMA now.
Yes.
3 questions. I'll fold them into one.
Wow.
We've got Yair Rodriguez. We've got Teruto Ishihara, obviously, and Cub Swanson. Talk about those 3 performances. What's next for these guys?
By the way, never ask me a question with talk about at the beginning of it. I mean, that is the pet peeve of all
listen
pet peeves.
Listen to me. I am not a journalist. I am not a journalist, and you are not my interview subject.
Excuse me, Stefan. Talk about the third quarter.
How did you feel?
Yeah.
that Yair Rodriguez.
Yes.
How do you feel his performance? How would you grade his performance?
Okay, how about this? I'll give you a pro wrestling example right now when speaking of Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez against Alex Caceres reminded me of a 2000, and this is for my boy John Pollock if he's listening, a 2006 TNA Spot Fest. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, like high stunts, right? Like
one after the next, after the next, after the next, thus sort of desensitizing us to the entire thing altogether.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I do.
It reminded me of like, who was that guy in TNA? There was a Canadian guy who used to do like this crazy flip, and he would wrestle AJ Styles, and the whole thing would just be flip after flip after flip. And this is what ultimately, in my opinion, was ECW's demise, because it was just too much of a crazy thing, and too much of a crazy thing then just becomes a normal thing. So the spinning after the spinning after the spinning after the spinning, by the end it was just like, okay, this is. I mean, I feel like we're shooting blanks now come the 4th and 5th. All that being said, I reiterate what I said at the beginning of the show, which was he's a big star. star. They need to keep building him up. He should probably be fighting, if he's healthy, in Mexico City. I mean, this is someone that they can really do something with. I mean, I don't really know why he was fighting in Salt Lake City, of all places, but regardless, he's got something. And I actually think that he could be a bigger star than Kane over there, if he's not one already. So I enjoyed the fight. I just thought it was a lot of the high spots back to back to back. You get what I'm saying?
I completely understand what you're saying. I thought it was a good fight. I wasn't, Twitter seemed to be blown away by it. I didn't have the same reaction to it. I thought it was good. It was a solid performance. But I didn't. I definitely understand what you're saying, that it was a bit of here's trick after trick after trick. Let's kind of see an actual fight at some point.
Yeah, and I don't know if that works against the creme de la creme of the division.
I mean, that's yet to be seen, but creative strikers are a thing that's been successful recently,
sure.
In particular. So I'm not sure that we'll see this fight replicated anytime soon. I think it'll be a little bit different, and a lot of people are not going to be like Alex Caceres as he climbs up that ladder, and be equally as inventive and kind of wild. So I think we'll see something different. But either way, like, it was a fine fight. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't. It was what it was,
right?
Yeah,
the whole card really was what it was. Like,
well, how about this?
Yeah.
How about Sexy Hara? Talk about it.
No, but I just want to say, like, I felt like a lot of people were willing this card to be one of those, like, oh, it was unheralded going in, and look how great it was. It was what it was.
Well, until the main card, it was that card.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? When you're watching the main card at like 11:30, 12, and it's going the way it was, I mean, can't even get a freaking Talis Ladies walkout, 3 Little Birds. The whole thing falls a little short. You get what I'm saying?
The moment that main card started, it dipped.
Yeah. So Izzyhara, I want to say this about Teruto. He is incredibly entertaining.
Yep.
The interviews are fun.
Yep.
The fighting is fun. Most importantly. Yep. The post-fight was fun. The shout-out to the mother was fun. The Twitter posts are fun. It's all very fun. It's somewhat different. It's unique. It's refreshing, especially for a Japanese fighter. Often, like if you compare him to some of the other great Japanese fighters of the last 5 years, I think of like a Kawajiri, a Gomi, a Yushin Okami. They're all very reserved, right? For the most part.
Yep.
He's the complete opposite. But I will say, though, the reaction is interesting because, I mean, like, I often see people getting offended by certain comments. Like, we get offended when Sterling calls Brian Caraway Mrs. Caraway. Oh, no, wait. Mrs. Tate, right? Or Mr. Tate.
Mr. Tate, yeah.
I screwed that one up. Mr. Tate. But, like, he is skirting the line here, right? I mean...
Is he?
I mean, he's calling females bitches.
Is he calling females bitches or all his fans bitches?
I mean, guys included?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see a lot of guys in those parties that he's posting pictures of.
I think he's choosing which bitches to spend some time with.
No, I just look. I'm enjoying it. I just want to say, like, he needs to be careful. The bigger he gets,
sure.
And I don't want to be Mr. PC Police because that stuff annoys me. I just hope he doesn't get himself in trouble because the reaction has been so good. He's getting this feedback. You continue to push. I can see. Remember when Conor was getting bigger, and then he had that picture of the girl at the strip club with the butt, and then he got a little bit of hot water for that. And then there was another time where he mentioned something about Miesha Tate and Ronda Rousey and toes. I think there was toe sucking involved. Do you remember that whole thing on Facebook?
Yep.
I think he learned his lesson that, like, you can only push so much. So I hope, and maybe English not being his first language will help him. I hope Teruto doesn't suffer the same kind of fate. You get what I'm saying?
I do. But I think for now, this is something fun, and I don't think it's gender specific. I think we're all his bitches, to be honest.
I don't know. I think you're doing some selective listening there, but
maybe,
fair enough.
Maybe.
You are a Teruto mark, aren't you?
Oh, for sure. He's got something. What it is, I think is yet to be seen. Because so far he's been hitting one note. Let's see the second one.
Yeah.
But I like it.
It is exciting to have a prospect coming out of Japan. And I will just say this about the Cub-Swanson fight. You could have made a case for that being the main event, to be honest.
Sure.
And
I think that was the best fight of the night.
And it certainly delivered. And I think very telling that they would put that fight on Fight Pass. I mean, that they could have used that fight on the FS1 main card or prelims, right? So I thought that was very telling about the direction of the UFC and, what they're putting on Fight Pass as opposed to FS1.
Okay, I'm going to leave you with this one. Conor and Nate, they seem to be in partial agreement. There was a press conference.
Conference call, to be exact.
Yes.
Another pet peeve of mine when people call conference calls press conferences.
Oh, my apologies. I apologize for questioning the sanctity or for infringing upon the sanctity of the conference call. Conor and Nate, they seem to be in a parallel track. They seem to be on the same page, much more so than they were in the lead up to the first fight. How do you what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on them seeming to be more in sync than enemies? If you could call it that, leading into this fight. And what do you think about the idea that they both seem to be open to a rubber match, which is more cooperation from them versus saying, I don't want to fight this guy again or anything like that?
Well, how about this breaking news here? You know the guy who created the Korean Zombie T-shirt? Remember the infamous Korean Zombie T-shirt?
Yeah, Tricosta, the company.
Yeah, but the guy who designed it, who drew it, is this guy named Ted Park. And I think it was Tricosta, by the way, or Costa. Okay. Maybe it's Costa, you're right. Anyhow, side note, Korean Zombie coming back in around 2 months. I'm just looking at my Twitter here. Ted Park, great guy. He actually made me a couple logos, has drawn some things. I mean, a real great guy. And I just saw that he tweeted this, which I found to be fascinating. I've only ever used Twitter to sell, brag about, or ask for something. And now knowing I'm blessed to have everything and deserve nothing, goodbye and praise God. I mean, what a way to go out. Right?
There you go. Retiring from Twitter.
That's big news.
Is it? Okay.
Anyhow, back to your question. If you recall, if you saw the UFC 202 pre-fight press conference that happened 2 days before UFC 200, the first question, was it the first question? Maybe it was the second question, or it might have been the first. One of the top two questions that I asked Conor was, yeah, I know that you want the fight back. You want the rematch. You want to get him back, all that stuff. But deep down inside, there seems to be a respect brewing between the two. There seems to be this bond that has been forged since 196, the 200 drama, and the build-up to 202. And he said that, yeah, there's a calm bond, but make no mistake about it, I want to be in him and all that stuff. And I think we got another glimpse of that on Friday during the conference call. I think we saw once again that, look, there wasn't a lot of crap talking. There was some comments here or there, but both these guys know that they make the most amount of money right now fighting each other. Both of them recognize what they did for each other, which was Conor giving him the shot at 196 when he could have gone to Cerrone and others, which was Diaz turning down any other fight at 200 and waiting for Conor, and it was them agreeing to fight at 202. They've helped each other out. They've made each other a lot of money. They are on the same page. And so that's kind of fascinating to see in its own right, and I'm curious to see what that is going to transition into come fight week next week in Las Vegas prior to UFC 202. I think that's a really interesting thing. And by the way, so much so, there's so much respect between the two that Conor's talking about the trilogy even before the rematch. And I will say, and this is for all those people that are saying, like, I'm coming to Conor's defense. Make no mistake about it. Conor McGregor doesn't need me to back him up, to defend him. I was not doing that. I wasn't tweeting about the wrestling thing to defend him, to come to his defense, to be a white knight. I was just simply noting that the reaction was a little bit overblown and felt like it was coming across as insecure, while I do have a lot of respect for the pro wrestling community. But Conor saying that the trilogy is coming, that he feels like they're going to do business beyond this second fight on August 20th, to me feels like a misstep from a promotional standpoint. Dare I say it is promotional malpractice. Why? Because you need to tell the world that this is one night only, that this is going to be the rematch of all rematches, that if you miss this one, you're going to be the only person in this entire world that is going to miss this fight, that the world will be watching, that it's going to be fireworks, that it's going to be can't miss, that it's going to be something unlike anything you've ever seen, that it's going to be unique. If you're telling the world that if you miss this one, there will be a third one, to me, it makes the second fight feel not as special. You know what I'm saying? If you're telling the world that there's going to be one after this one, now people might skip it. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but why even say that? Again, I appreciate the honesty, but from a promotional standpoint, from a promoter standpoint, and he is as smart as any in this game currently, I was surprised that he went that route. I was surprised that he said that. He has said that in the past, but this close to this one, you're basically telling people August 20th, it's going down. But oh, by the way, if you miss it, there's going to be one more. And that feels like a misstep. So it wasn't all home runs on Friday during that conference call. It wasn't all amazing. For the most part, it was interesting. Good comments back and forth. If you missed it, the replay is up on our website. For now, let's go to our last guest of the day. Excited to talk to this guy. He fights Georgi Karakhanyan on August 26th. That same card that Benson Henderson is headlining against Patricio Pitbull. His name is Bubba Jenkins, and he is joining us right now via the magic of Skype. There he is, Bubba. Half his face, but I do see him. Bubba Jenkins, how are you?
You see me, my man?
Oh, now I see you. There are those lovely eyes.
Get that facial features in there, baby.
That's right. Okay, there's a lot to talk to you about, my man. You are is it fair to say you are a bit disgruntled right now? I mean, I've seen you go on Twitter. You're tweeting up a storm. You are pissed off that you are now on the prelims of this card. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to create some noise so I can, get all the people to watch me as much as they can wherever I am, whether it's on the prelims or on the main card. I basically wanted to pull some a Conor card, as you was talking about Conor, and get everybody involved on social media to follow me, basically. Now, it definitely went trending #2, so I was happy about that.
Okay, but this is an important fight for you, for the division. When you were offered this fight, when you were first approached by Bellator, were you told initially that it was going to be on the main card?
Yeah, I was told initially it was going to be on the main card. The first fight that I actually had with Georgie, this is Georgie Bubba J2, and the first fight that we actually had was co-main event. So it was pretty disappointing to hear that it was on the prelims. I obviously have friends back home and tons of people who want to throw Bubba J fight parties, so to not have that opportunity kind of was like, oh, man. But, I'm excited either way. The results will be the same. The fight's going to go the way I planned it, and I'm excited about it.
What was the reason that you were given as to why they bumped you to the prelims?
I believe the show got shortened. I think it went from a 3-hour broadcast to maybe a 2-hour broadcast. So,
okay.
I think I mean that's the reason I got.
and here you are tweeting about it and being very vocal about it. Have you heard from anyone at Bellator like, hey man, can you cool it on this stuff? Do you think they're upset? What do you think? Has anyone reached out to you?
No one's reached out to me, but I think it's along the lines of promoting the fight.
Sure.
If people want to see me fight, or if people are making a noise about it, they're going to go to the prelim cards on SpikeTV.com and check out the fight, or they're going to look for it on Spike TV, regular TV, and try to see if Bellator actually pushed me up or did whatever. So I think I'm promoting the fight like they want me to do, and I don't think it's I think any publicity is good publicity.
yeah, to a degree, yes. Not all the time, but I do think that you're doing a good job of promoting the fight. I mean, here you are talking about it on this very show.
Right, I got on your show doing it.
That's right, and I heard that was on the bucket list, right? You've wanted to be on this show for quite some time.
Yeah. Come on, man. The MMA Hour, that's definitely on everyone's bucket list. I don't care if they lie to you and tell you that it's not.
Oh wow, well I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Correct me if I'm wrong. You have 2 fights left on your Bellator contract, correct?
Correct.
So obviously you want to win this one. Are you going to try? I mean, I remember when you first came into MMA, there was a ton of buzz. One of the big prospects coming out of college and national champion, all that stuff. Are you going to try to test the waters, or do you want to stick around in Bellator and try to sign a deal before you officially become a free agent?
Well, I never bite the hand that feeds me, and I don't want to give you no cliche answer, but my bread's being buttered at Bellator. It's going down in the BM. I don't mind Bellator. And they like me too. So, I'm pretty excited with everything that I have going. I want to be at the top of that division in Bellator. So I don't see myself leaving anytime soon without getting that strap. I came into Bellator looking for that belt, and I would feel like I would wasted, 10, 11, 12 matches or fights in that organization without getting that strap. So, I'm headed for the gold, and that's all I can see. I'm focused on Georgi Karakhanyan, and everything else is going to fall to the wayside because I don't get distracted too easily.
Recently, you changed your nickname, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, this is interesting because you used to be called the Highlight Kid, correct?
That's right.
Now you're I'm a bad man. So, Bubba, I'm a bad man, Jenkins.
Yes.
But the go ahead. The reason for this change is because of Muhammad Ali, correct?
Absolutely, man. Like most of the young black kids in America, I wouldn't even say young, around the 20, 30 years. I mean, we grew up idolizing Muhammad Ali. And, I wanted to meet Muhammad Ali when I was at Arizona State, him living out in Phoenix at the time. I had a couple opportunities to meet him, but the schedules just never met up. And I was like, oh, when I get big, I'm going to meet him. Don't worry about it. And his passing really did something to me, like it did to a lot of the people in the combat community and just in America in general. So I was thinking, man, I was already thinking that I wanted to get a name change. So I was thinking, man, what can I do? I was thinking Butterfly Jenkins, and I was like, nah, that ain't gonna work. Then I was gonna think Handsome Jenkins, and I was like, nah, I'm not that. But after I start watching, more Muhammad Ali interviews, and I'm watching Muhammad Ali all the time to just check his footwork, I was thinking, man, in memorial of Muhammad Ali could be an acronym for I am MMA, so it was I'm a bad man, and he's always like, I'm a bad man. So IMMA stands for I am MMA, and it stands for in memorial of Muhammad Ali, Bad Man Jenkins.
Okay, now this is a lot to process here, because when I think of a nickname, I think of is Bubba your birth name?
No, it's not. I was 11-pound baby, so I was Bubba on day one, regardless of what my name was.
Okay, but isn't Bubba your nickname then?
Yeah, technically, if we want to get technical, yes, Bubba is my nickname. But I mean, I can't even say that I can stick to a nickname, because they call me the Unicorn Slayer. They call me the Robust Brown One. They call me the Highlight Kid. They call me the Bad Man. I mean, every other week they call me No Cliche Bubba J. So I mean, every other week I got a new nickname. So I'm just putting one down so people can actually have something to go by.
But okay, and again with the nickname, like you're at the gym right now, people aren't saying like, right, hey, I'm a bad man. What's up? How was your night? Good, right? Isn't that the point of a nickname? Like, you know what I mean? Is again going back to Bubba. So what? I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around why you felt the need to change it when you're not really using the nickname for what it is.
Right. Well, a lot of people do call me a bad man, so they wouldn't say, "Hey, okay, I'm a bad man Jenkins." It would just be like, "Hey, bad man." Bad. It would just be like, okay, bad man.
Fair enough.
But,
all right.
A lot of nicknames in the sport are self-proclaimed.
Yeah.
A lot of people have given me my nickname. So, when people call me certain nicknames, it's not one that I actually go by. And this is one that I was like, you know what? Because of Muhammad Ali and because I'm already looking for a name change, this is one that I'll actually go by, that I self-proclaim.
I feel you. And by the way, Butterfly is a great name. I love Butterfly. That's an awesome name.
Well, I couldn't think of like how I could make it look mean, you know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, Butterfly, and then my boys back home from Virginia, they ain't gonna be too hyped about that one.
Let me tell you something. Bubba the Butterfly Jenkins is money. You're gonna get tremendous amount of press and coverage and cash if you are the Butterfly. I'm just saying. I don't know, like if you had an executive committee come up with this nickname, but
put it on Twitter and see what they.
There might be something there, my man. There might be something there.
That was my I was throwing things to the wall, see what stuck, and it didn't stick. So,
okay,
maybe Twitter can say differently.
Fair enough. Now, on a less lighter note, you fought the late Jordan Parsons. You beat the late Jordan Parsons not that long ago. In fact, you were his last opponent. And I was reading this. I think you did an interview with Bloody Elbow. Amazingly, this fight is on his birthday.
Yeah, man. I had a couple of his friends reach out, and leading up to me and Jordan's fight, we were talking trash.
Yeah.
We had conferences where we were both on the phone and on the MMA podcast, MMA Roasted podcast, and I mean we were going back and forth. He called me out, I answered the call, and so there was a lot of animosity leading up to this fight. And so after I got the victory, it wasn't. I'm not a classless person, nor do I call people out. I wait till someone calls me and then I respond. So after the fight, he was just like, man, much respect to you. You got the win. I thought I was better than you. I thought I was this. And I reciprocated that. I was like, you were a tough opponent. We won all 3 rounds. I pulled it out by split decision, and I was excited about getting that victory. And so we left it as friends, even though leading up to the fight, I did not like the guy. We almost got in the fight twice before the fight even happened.
Wow.
At the weigh-in, and we were just walking around the hotel, and we actually ran into each other. And honestly, we had to be separated 2 times before the fight even happened. So, after I was hearing that he had gotten hit and run, and this is before he was dying, this was when he was in critical condition. I'm with Tip a Fighter. I started this organization with a friend of mine to basically help fighters make more money, inside and outside of the cage, to basically capitalize on their time that they're in the cage. So I started Tip a Fighter, and I was thinking, if I can get a profile for him on my tipafighter.com page, so people can tip, and help with his bills. It's just like a GoFundMe almost, but it's for combat for athletes and stuff. So it was just like that. But I was telling all his friends to let me know, give me some information, let me know what's going on with him. I was calling people who were at the hospital with him because I truly, truly care. Not only cared about Jordan Parsons, but I care about all these other people that are in this game. A lot of people don't realize that we're humans, that, our Twitter, we can say this and do that on Twitter, but, we got to care about each other because we're in there putting our lives at risk in a sense. So, I reached out to his family, his I think it was his girlfriend at the time. And, she just let me know that, his birthday is actually on the same night that we're fighting. Wow. And, I did everything I could to basically raise money for him. And it was just a sad situation. And I prayed for his family, and, it comes full circle because, I fought him. We met up in the cage that same night, and anytime, anywhere, it could have been me instead of him. So it just makes me think about it in that kind of concept.
Given that history, did it sort of give you chills when you found out that you were fighting on his birthday?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It wasn't something that, I used to deal with death very hardly. My dad died when I was 9. I had a lot of friends die leading up while I was in high school. So in the beginning, when people would die, I would be sickened for, 3 or 4 days. It was hard on me. But as I got older, death happens. As I got closer to God and knowing, my spirituality levels, it happens. And that's something that we deal with life. There's happiness and there's sadness. So when I heard about Jordan Parsons I was his last opponent being high, I knew I was the last person to know how good he was and how good he could be and how good he was going to become. It definitely, raised the hairs on the back of my neck when I heard that, 1, he died, and 2, the next time that I fight, is on his birthday. So like the connection between me and Jordan Parsons is undeniable. I'm not sure what it is. The fire that we had leading up to the fight, the friendship that we had after it, the death, me trying to do a Tip a Fighter for him, and the fight, and to find out that I'm fighting on his birthday. I mean, there's just a connection there that is, it's just crazy. But, I definitely want to stay focused on the fight, but I'm definitely, after my fight, after I get this win, if I do get the interview, I definitely will be shouting out his family and the fact that people need to remember him for the great athlete that he was and the good person that he was.
Tip a Fighter, by the way, how is that doing? Do you find that a lot of people go to the site and do tip the fighters?
Absolutely, man. It's doing great. I'm excited about, what it stands for. And I think it needs to be a little bit bigger later down the line.
A grappling tournament? Like
a grappling tournament is much less risk. There's hardly any
and
risk
much
involved.
less reward. Zero reward versus.
Trust me. Did you just start listening to the sport, like following the sport? Did you start paying attention? You really think that the UFC is going to say, all right, guys, you can go spend. I mean, how long are they going to have to compete to properly perform in the Olympics? Like, how long are they going to train for? Like, what, 4, 5, 6 months? We're going to take you off our roster. We're not going to capitalize off of you. We're not going to sell pay-per-views off of you. You could go out there and we're going to make zero money off of this.
For that 4 or 5, for one fight, yes, for one fight.
And by the way,
with the
how
reward
could it even be one fight? How could it be one fight? How could it be one fight? How are you going to crown a winner in the Olympics if there's just one fight? There has to be a tournament.
So maybe a tournament, but either way,
what do you mean?
The UFC,
so now they're going to allow these guys to fight 3-4 times in the span of 2 weeks?
You're saying the UFC is losing multiple fights. They're not. They're losing that one fight. They can't use them for that 4 or 5 months, which is how long they would take to turn around
4 or 5 months
anyway.
before, 4 or 5 months after.
No.
What do you mean no?
That's too long. You're making this way longer. The turnaround time.
If you're going to try to win a gold medal in the Olympics, you're going to have to fight at least 3 times.
Yeah, but the turnaround time is not going to be as long as you're saying.
What do you mean? Could you imagine someone fighting 3 times? Do you think he's going to come back 2 months later? What kind of concussions are you advocating for?
You're predicting doom and gloom and injuries and all this stuff. I'm not.
You're living in a fantasy world.
Also, the UFC, if they made this decision and sacrificed one pay-per-view for long-term gain of having somebody on an Olympic stage, I think that's worth it, and I think it's something they consider. It's not. Is it a guarantee? No, not by any means. I don't think it's even likely.
But you are ignoring the fact that they have to win 3 to 4 fights at least in order to win a gold medal. So why else are they going to do it? They're going to have to compete. Are they going to?
Or maybe they headgear. Maybe that's headgear.
God, jeez. What an exhilarating experience that will be. Let's watch guys. And first of all, how are you going to submit a guy wearing headgear?
What do you mean? How are you going to submit a guy?
What? Oh, like wrestling head? I was thinking like the headgear that they wear in boxing, the big ass thing. You can't get a guy in a guillotine wearing that.
Maybe not, but you can still do arm locks. You can still do leg locks. Look,
it's whack.
You see,
now you're just
you're being difficult.
Just criticizing.
You're being difficult.
You're being a contrarian right now. It's sometimes
I'm proposing that this be put forward. You're being contrarian.
No, I'm being a realist. The UFC, in a million years, I can't even believe we're actually arguing this. In a million years, the UFC is not going to let its biggest stars. Yeah, Ronda Rousey, great. We would love for you to go compete on NBC. Oh, and by the way, how's Fox going to feel about this? Fox, who pays $100+ million a year, and they don't even get the big fights. Let's not even talk about that. But they're going to be like, okay, great. Ronda Rousey, you're going to go compete on NBC. We're not going to make a dime off of this.
This one time.
Yeah,
this one time.
This one time. What do you mean? Why can't it be 3-4 Olympics? This is Carmelo Anthony's third or fourth.
But the opportunity cost. What they're sacrificing is not using her on pay-per-view one time. What they're gaining is Ronda Rousey fighting in front of millions.
It's a year. If she's going to go and try to fight for a gold, it's a year that she's missing. It's the buildup. It's the aftermath. It's the media tour.
How about not sending Ronda Rousey? How about sending somebody from the bottom of the roster? Somebody who may not have a fight booked anyway.
Okay, like we're going to send Darren Elkins.
Yeah.
Great.
Why not?
Okay, then why don't boxers do it? If you've got it all figured out.
I don't follow boxing. I don't know why boxers wouldn't do it. But I can imagine that the exposure...
Because they want to make money.
Yeah, I can imagine that the exposure is worth some kind of risk. I have to imagine that it's not this is a completely ridiculous scenario. If tomorrow the Olympic Committee said we can have MMA in the Olympics, we'll work with you on how this happens, what level of athlete, what rule set, what protection. I have to think that they'd consider it rather than going no. We can't have Ronda Rousey out for a year.
IMMAF, which is amateur. And, they do that tournament during International Fight Week and others here and there. That's the only way it could work. I guess that could work, but those guys are amateurs. They're not pros. Yeah. There's literally no chance in hell. I feel very confident saying that. In our lifetime, as MMA currently stands and is structured, there is absolutely zero chance of seeing pro MMA fighters in the Olympics. I will go out on a limb and say, as MMA is structured today, there is absolutely zero chance, and it is almost a futile mission to even argue for the chance that they will compete in the Olympics. There's no way, unless you're just trying to be a contrarian, which I can understand and appreciate.
No.
But there's no way. There's absolutely no way.
I would not think it's likely. Definitely not. But I do think
it's less than likely.
I think of course there's a chance.
No chance. Zero chance.
I don't know.
Have you not met MMA promoters? Do you not realize that they are in the business of making money?
Yes, and also thinking long term rather than just short term.
If you've got this amazing entity that you make money off of, you are not going to share it with someone else, and by doing that, not benefiting. It just doesn't make any sense.
You keep saying not benefiting, but they will benefit. In the long term, they will benefit greatly.
They will say, you know what? Let us benefit over here. Yeah, great idea putting these people on NBC, having the Olympic, movement behind them. We'll just keep them over here and capitalize off of their efforts. That's fantasy world. It's a nice idea. It would be awesome. That's really like the sport that we all dream of. Anyone could fight anyone. Oh, great. Michael Chandler will be in a bracket alongside Khabib Nurmagomedov. It would be super cool. There's literally no chance of it ever happening.
I think that may be accurate, but I think your reason for why is not. I think.
What do you mean?
The long-term gain is something that I think a smart promoter would recognize.
No.
You're saying, they can't capitalize on it, but you're wrong. They can. They can't now. They can't do it at that moment because they're giving their athlete to the Olympics at that time, and they can't put them on pay-per-view. But long-term, their star will be brighter than ever. They competed in the Olympics and won a gold medal.
You're also forgetting the fact that the Olympic MMA fights would not get primetime treatment, just like the boxing matches.
That's a very good point, because they may not.
They're showing.
They may be on the stream.
Yeah. You're watching swimming at night. You're watching gymnastics. You're watching running. Even the basketball stuff, the early stuff is on NBCSN or some other channel. They're not putting MMA in prime time.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. They probably put like one fight total.
Maybe,
if even.
I don't think one boxing match will be in prime time.
Yeah, you're right. That is a huge sacrifice. You're right about that.
So can you finally concede that this is dumb?
No, I will not concede that it's dumb. I think it's very unlikely. I think you've made some really, really valid points that I don't think it will happen. But I do think that if there's a way to make it happen, I can guarantee you they will. I do think that they would pursue it.
Who? The IOC?
The Olympic Committee, the MMA promoters, the organizations themselves. If there was a way to make this happen, I'm very, very confident that they would try to.
Zero chance.
I don't know.
Absolutely zero. I've never been more sure of anything in my life.
Well, no.
All right.
Wait, last one. One more.
Yeah.
CM Punk, Road to the Octagon.
Yes.
They've been filming that.
Yes.
Do you have any idea when that's coming out?
Yes.
Okay, hit me.
Hit me with your best. I'm looking it up. Just 1 second. Come on and hit me with your best shot.
And are you going to do a sit down with Mr. Punk?
I can't divulge such sensitive information. August 15th is what I'm told on FS1.
Boom.
Multiple part series. They've been filming him for like, was it 2 years almost? Almost 2 years now, right? Wow. And I'm excited. I will say this about Mr. CM Punk. According to good sources, there was some talk early on that it wasn't going well, and he was having a hard time transitioning. Of course, he was picking up a brand new sport, one that he didn't have an extensive background in. I am told that a lot of eyebrows are being raised, and this is not coming from him. This is not coming. I have no dog in this race, but I'm being told that he has turned the corner, that eyebrows are being raised. And I know people are going to scoff at this, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, right. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, you do anything for almost 2 years, and I know there have been setbacks, you're going to get better at it. You would think. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm being told that the guy who started off isn't the guy who's currently training in the gym. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's encouraging.
Yeah.
I mean, look, people are going to be interested in this no matter what. And I think that even the people who wanted him to fail from the start are the same people who are wanting him to fail now. But it is encouraging to hear that, we're at least getting a closer to finished product. I'm excited about it.
I hope it happens. And, I like Mickey Gall a lot. And of course, I have an affinity for CM Punk. I did think of him yesterday, tying this whole thing back together. I mean, here's a guy who has been publicly mocked, who people have tried to say, he's just in it for the notoriety, for the publicity stunt, et cetera, who has stopped short a very lucrative career to go out and put his neck out there and expose himself potentially and potentially get embarrassed, get beat up, knocked out. A whole host of bad things can happen. Here's a guy who really put his money where his mouth is. He has not been paid over the last, year plus for his training, for his, his troubles. And meanwhile, you have other people going on Twitter and trying to pick a fight with Conor McGregor. Do you see the difference there? Do you see why I have a ton of respect for CM Punk?
He's the real deal.
I mean, the guy went out there at an older age, beat up, and said, I'm done with this, and I want to do the real stuff. He's not resorting to third-grade insults on social media. There's a big difference there, and that's why I have a lot of respect for the guy. And I hope
and Brock too. And Brock also did this. Absolutely,
but although it's been marred.
Sure, no doubt about it.
And win or lose, in my opinion, CM Punk is a winner. People could get worked up about his comments about title shots, all this stuff. Win or lose, if he goes into that cage and fights Mickey Gall, which by the way is a very tough fight for him, and the odds would represent that. To me, this guy is someone that you can call a winner. Because, forget about whether he deserves it. Forget about whether or not, the UFC made him. All that stuff. The guy stepping into a cage in front of millions of people who are hoping that he fails, who have publicly berated him and all that stuff, and actually put his money where his mouth is, went through the training camp, went through the surgery, all that stuff, and is fighting a younger, hungry I mean, there's a lot to respect there, and there's a lot to be to be impressed by there. Absolutely. And I think that really ties in everything that we were talking about. All right, we are done. That's it?
That's it.
The stream is back. That's good news. Lost all our viewers, but it was the end of the show. Poor Bubba Jenkins gets bumped, and then he gets bumped again.
We will
I can't buy a break.
We will get not only a clip on MMA fighting, we will get the full show back on YouTube. Everybody will be able to see Bubba Jenkins. Audio will come out, everything like usual. Look for it at the usual spots.
I will say this, the audio is coming out a lot quicker, so I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the love on iTunes, the ratings, the comments, the downloads, all that and more. We appreciate it greatly. You can hit my music. I have to get home because there is a fantastic water polo match that I have to get to tonight. I cannot wait for it. Just kidding. But if there is one, I will be watching it because I enjoy it immensely. There's nothing like the Olympic Games. I got to cover them in 2010 for the late great Fan House. Those were the Winter Olympics, which Canada killed, gold medal, all that stuff. That was one of the greatest experiences of my career, and I am somewhat jealous of Guilherme and some other friends that are over there. I mean, not to say that I want to be over there, but it's a fun time. It reminds you why you love athletics, sports, the pageantry. When I competed in the Maccabi Games in 1999, Pan American Maccabi Games, I got to represent my country. Much smaller stage, no doubt about that, but it's cool. And yes, I know the Olympics are very controversial and corrupt and all that stuff, but in a vacuum, it is fun to watch. Anyhow, let us say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for tuning in. Whether you watched it live or after the fact, we appreciate you greatly. Thank you very much to one Dan Henderson for stopping by. Good luck to him on October 8th. Thank you very much to Alistar Overeem for stopping by as well. Yes, you were tardy, but you showed up, and that's all that matters. Thank you very much to the great Chris Weidman. Good luck to him as he prepares for UFC's debut in Madison Square Garden. Thank you very much to Emil Meek. Appreciate his time. Benson Henderson, the great Mirko Cro Cop. Best of luck to him September 25th. And Bubba Jenkins, good luck to you and Benson Henderson on August 26th. Back next week, same time and place. Until then, I say peace.